what's cool is that we are all bobbing our head the same way. Is that? Whoa! Did you get one of the bobbleheads?
Yeah, the guys in athletics gave it to me last time I was up there.
Well, good. Well, on that note, welcome into the Illegal Contact Podcast. Christian over there with his Coach Freeze bobblehead. I have one of those. It's going to go on my desk at work. So, fellas, I hope you all had a better college football weekend than I did. And I hope your NFL weekend wasn't as good as what my NFL weekend was. So
mine was better.
Yeah.
He was in attendance. So that's extra.
That does make it better and way more exciting, even willing to be exciting regardless. Well, we're obviously going to start with college football because that's what we do. College football is, unpopular opinion for Thomas, but college football is king. It's what we care about the most, and it's what draws the most excitement.
Am I on an island? Am I really on an island that NFL? I think all prefer college.
Christian, what do you prefer? I don't know, Christian. We've had the conversation between the other four of us. Christian, you've never.
I definitely prefer college. This is my first year that I've actually been able to watch Red Zone, and that definitely has narrowed the gap. But definitely college overall.
Wow.
Thomas is on an island.
I'm an island. I didn't think that would be the island that I'd be on, the NFL island.
Well, you're on the NFL island, but in like a baseball hut. So
baseball is the first true love. Kyle, I mean, would you consider baseball first true love? I mean, I know the Tigers aren't.
Yeah. So
the same, but
yes, but I always describe it as like I love football and I love baseball, but they bring out two completely different types of romance.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true.
Football is as much as I love football, I hate in football. Like football brings out an aggression,
a passion.
I hate the Yankees, but I mean, I hate the Yankees. Like it ain't okay. I hate the Yankees. I hate the Wolverines. So that's where the difference really comes into play. It's baseball is just only pure love for my team with a little bit of hate. Football
and
is
it's love for the game too, right? Baseball just kind of has that purity of. It's around. It's summer. It's baseball. It's probably the thing that we liked first, as a 4-year-old, right? It's the first game you probably played. You probably went to games with your dad, maybe, things like that.
Listening to it with my grandpa. I did not get into when I was a kid, I watched football and I was into NFL more as a kid. I didn't get into football, college football until really my senior year of high school when I was a freshman in college, 2004, 2005. Is when I really kind of got into it a ton. John L. Smith days, they were bad. I became a fan in the poor days. But yeah, baseball was always as a childhood, listening, even though the Tigers were terrible for most of my childhood, it was still always with me. Peyton, you were going to say something and I interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, I feel the same way that you do about I am more aggressive with my anger in college than I am in NFL. It still matters to me in the NFL, but I am much more passionate and will lose my mind for college. Which is interesting because NFL was my first love as far as the two football sides go. Watching Jim Kelly play and acting out the plays after they would score a touchdown in the living room and pretending that I was on the team.
I met Jim Kelly. I got a picture with him. I graduated with my associate's degree with his daughter from LU. That was cool.
Lucky man.
Yeah.
Being Peyton's roommate, I can definitely attest to that. Yeah, he'd be a lot more upset when Tennessee would lose over the Colts.
Oh yeah, I totally get that.
It's funny because Tennessee losing was way more likely than the Colts losing, and I would still get more mad about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get started here. So, fan perspectives from week 5 in college football. I don't want to go first. I don't want to talk. No, Peyton, you had quite a weekend. Let's make us all happy. Help us enjoy your excitement that you got to have.
I will pay a compliment first. So the thing that I was most nervous about going into this past weekend was Anthony Richardson. Their run game as a whole, I felt like could end up really hurting us. And I thought, okay, Anthony Richardson, you guys have heard me say this plenty of times. inconsistent. After everyone was just slobbering all over him at the beginning of the year, I just thought, I don't know. He's going to drop off at some point. I didn't want to be the game where he came back and plays super well. And we were that game for him. He didn't make mistakes. He was very smart with the football. He put up numbers. The good thing was our defense did enough to disrupt the rest of the offense because not everyone else was playing at his level that was around him. So Anthony Richardson, unfortunately, played really, really well against us and was ready to go for that day. However, how can you get in the way of Hendon Hooker and that offense? They cooled off, which was not super exciting, but we made plays when we needed to make plays. We extended drives when we needed to, especially in the second half. We tried to give it away there at the end, but overall, I'm pleased with the win. Couldn't be happier. Hendon, putting up just shy of 350 passing, and then ran for over 100 yards as well. 3 total touchdowns. Like, he's just, the entire offense runs through him. And I like the fact that he doesn't have to be in the pocket or outside of the pocket to make a play. It doesn't matter where he is on the field. He can make something happen. So the biggest piece that we need to be able to continue to improve is our run game. The defense, surprisingly, has been able to step up, and they've been pretty disruptive, the pass rush especially. But our run game has got to be there because it's not super effective unless Hendon is running the ball. Jalen Wright is doing well. Jabari Small is a little lackluster for being a starter. But yeah, that's my big takeaway is I want to see us be able to run it, open up that pass game even more.
So when do you go to your first game?
So I've got my tickets already for the Alabama game. So we're on a bye this week. Then we've got LSU. Then it's Alabama. So,
and from what I'm looking at here too, Peyton, it looks like you guys ran the ball really well against Florida. Had over 225 yards rushing as a team. I know you said Hendon, of course, had the most, which he had 112 yards on 13 carries, and then Small had 90 for the game. So it looks like he had a pretty solid game. At least this game. Has he been kind of inconsistent throughout the season?
Yeah, and he got hurt in the last game. He had one breaking run this past week, which, I mean, before that, you're looking at like 50, 60 yards. We've got to have a rusher consistently in or near the 100-yard mark outside of Hendon Hooker.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, and all three of your running backs, I mean, counting Hendon, all of them had a rushing touchdown, so that'll definitely help.
Mm-hmm. And typically we're not going to run the ball a ton just because we want to keep the pace, with more passes than runs getting down the field quickly. So, I mean, that's part of it, but there's a time and place for the run. And when you have to run, you got to do it effectively if you want your game plan to sort out.
One other thing I did see was that Florida was 5 of 6 for 4th down conversions. Is that a point of concern for you guys, or?
I was beyond frustrated every time because, I mean, it got to the point where they just knew that they were going to convert. And honestly, a lot of them, it wasn't even, they were able to push for 2 yards to convert. It was Richardson throwing a dime 30 yards down the field on 4th and 1 in their own territory and converting. So I think with those conversions, a lot of times they caught us sleeping, thinking that it was going to be a short yardage play, and they would capitalize getting 10, 15, 30 yards out of it. Stupid mistakes. And I have no doubt that is a big one for the defense practicing through this bye week is short yardage downs, getting stops, getting off the field.
Yeah, because I saw that they had decent success even on 3rd downs. I think they were just sub 50%, but you guys were 66% on 3rd down. So I know that's called the money down for a reason. Yeah.
And without Cedric Tillman on the outside, I mean, he's our He's our best receiver right now. Jalen Hyatt did really well. Brew McCoy stepped up in a big way. Was happy to see him get in the end zone. And then I know, Jared, I sent you that video earlier of Ramel Keaton laying out for that ball. Man, I told you guys we're deep at receiver. Like our second and third string guys, like they can all make plays. So, I think that getting Tillman back, hopefully before the LSU game, will be big. Even if we need to sit him out one more week and just make sure that he's 100% for Alabama, be perfectly happy with.
So your preseason prediction again was 10-2.
Was it 10-2?
9-3. Believe 9-3.
Yeah, I think 9-3.
Sticking at 9-3, or are you going to go on the overside here now?
Have faith.
I'm
Peyton.
gonna going 10-2.
I like it.
Seeing Florida is not a bad team this year, and I think they're good because of Billy Napier. I don't think they have just like this wildly talented roster. They, as always, will have talent on their roster, but I think Billy Napier, with coming in with a relatively new class that he's trying to put together, I think he's doing a really, really good job of capitalizing on people's strengths, which a lot of coaches, for whatever reason, just are not super great at that. They just kind of limp along until they can get their own class in there and then go from there. So, I mean, for us to get that win, very, very big in a rivalry game too. I really think that Alabama game is going to be the tone setter for the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. Even if we lose, if we're competitive, then I think we're gonna have something to prove the rest of the year.
Yeah, I like it. I like your 10-2 take. I think that's very likely, and I think that that Bama game is going to be a lot closer than I expected at the beginning of the year. Anyway, I still thought you're going to have a good year, but I didn't hold a lot to it. So hopefully that's the case. Jared, so your Clemson Tigers gave you a little bit of a scare this weekend.
More than a little bit, but yeah, that was might have been the game of the week, just with the amount of points that were scored and back and forth, and yeah, like you said, definitely gave me a little bit of a scare. Takeaways from that one: offense, it actually showed up against a good team, so that definitely made me feel a little bit better. DJ looked much better this past Saturday than he had all year last year, I would say. I mean, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, over 370 yards passing. I think he was over 60% completion percentage. So he looked really good. I will say that the receivers also looked really good too. They made some plays for him. I know Nada made a big play downfield. Davis, our tight end, had a really good game for us. Bo Collins had a great game for us as well. I mean, we do have the talent. It seemed like the receivers were underperforming. I know that Peyton and I kind of talked about that a little bit, but they definitely came out to play last week. They look good. And then defensively, man, the secondary got destroyed. And it was a little bit hard to watch at times, but we did have 3 starters out with injury, and it sounds like we should at least be getting 2 of them back for this game against NC State this upcoming week. So I feel a little bit better about that, because then you can put some of those younger guys on some of the lower tier receivers. And I know that our starting safety, who was a All-American last year, he's been out too with a dislocated elbow. So, we're definitely depleted on the back end, and it absolutely showed against Wake Forest. And I mean, Sam Hartman, my goodness, he looked absolutely unreal against us. Made some big time throws. I mean, he was showing why he is projected as a first-round draft pick, which, I mean, he's only a junior, so he could technically come back for his senior year. But I feel like he's got to be gone after this year, after just seeing how he composed himself against us. The only head scratcher for him, he made great decisions all day, but that last play was 4th and 6, and he went for the end zone. And, I feel like I feel like that was a bad decision on his part, especially thrown into double coverage. I will say that I was happy that Wiggins was the one that broke up the play because he was getting torched all day long, and he made that play at the end of the game that sealed the win for us. So I'm hoping that one little thing can hopefully help his confidence this upcoming week against NC State. He's going to need it. NC State has the ability to be a good offense. I know they haven't really shown that too much yet this year, but we know they have the pieces. So, yeah, I mean, overall, good win on the road. Not super thrilled at the amount of points we gave up, but, Sam Hartman, again, just had a fantastic game. So I'm happy to escape on the road with a win.
I have a couple of questions and a comment. I'll start with the comment. That rush into the end zone by Shipley was a man's run.
Yes, it was.
If that doesn't tell the entire coaching staff and every single fan, feed me, I don't know what does. Because that was huge.
Yeah, in his size and stature, like he doesn't look like he should be that strong. But he definitely that was one of the best efforts of the week. And it was only a 1 yard run. He's
very mature in a lot of ways, where he tries to keep himself low and balanced, and he doesn't stop moving his legs, which I know that's a big one for a lot of coaches, especially in college, is these guys get stopped. So they try to just keep their feet on the ground. Like, he keeps his legs churning. All the spinning and stretching he was doing, man, that was just, to me, that was play of the week, was his touchdown run.
That reminded me of, this might be too much of a Panthers reference for anybody else to get, but Deshaun Foster in the NFC Championship against Philly, the year that we went to the Super Bowl. It was like a 2-yard run. He had to get through like 6 guys, and it reminded me exactly of that.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time, but I remember old Deshaun Foster. Yeah.
I say Panthers names, we can get into some real throwbacks like Biaka Batuka and some other random
Thomas Davis.
So, Jared, my other question, or my question was going to be around your offensive line. Obviously, DJ looked good. I feel like your offensive line stepped up. What are your thoughts on them?
Totally agree. Especially in the pass protection, they looked a lot better. He's only been sacked 5 times this year so far. So some of that may be him having a little bit better pocket presence this year too. But I feel like the offensive line has definitely looked better throughout the year. I wasn't super sold that they would do that throughout the year, but they've definitely improved. I feel like, though, they haven't shown as much of a push in the run game, and Shipley's just had to make plays. And I mean, it's good that we have a guy that can make those types of plays if the offensive line isn't creating the holes. But I think if they can get that down too, that, gosh, we'll have a very good offense. We already do have a good offense, but I think it'd be very, very good if they can get a push in the run game.
What would you say to the fact that you guys barely put up more than a very pedestrian Liberty offense against Wake Forest?
Well, I'd say that Salter wasn't in the game this past week, but
no, I was referring to Liberty against Wake Forest.
Oh, against Wake Forest, yeah, putting up 51.
I think Clemson doesn't get the recruiting class that a school like Liberty is.
The score, yeah.
So my point is, how good can your offense be based off of a game against Wake Forest?
Well, and that my thing about that too, and I mentioned this in our podcast 2 weeks ago when we played Wake. I feel like that was a trap game because it was right before the Clemson game, which I think Wake Forest was looking at our game and circling it. So, and the coach even said too that Liberty has a lot of talent on the offensive side, which we do. We typically put up a good amount of points, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't really answer that. I think that each week is different for sure for everyone. So I guess we'll see against NC State this week because, again, and even NC State hasn't looked dominant in their wins either. But I told Peyton this as well. This Clemson team reminds me a lot of the 2016 Clemson team. And and not to say that we're going to win a national championship by any stretch, but we're very efficient. And that's really what we were that year. We weren't dominant. We weren't dominating teams. We lost to Pitt, but we just found ways to win each and every week. And I do think that the ACC is a lot more competitive than it has been even in the last 2 or 3 years. It's a lot more competitive. I mean, I think there's 5 teams now that are ranked. I know Syracuse was 25 and Florida State cracked it. I know obviously we're in there, Wake's in there, NC State's in there, so that's 5 right there. So I feel like the ACC has certainly gotten better.
It's uncharted territory for ACC in football. I mean,
well, and maybe Clemson's made them better as a
how
conference.
Many ranked teams finish
in the top 25? I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, it sounds like the voters are actually giving the ACC some due, just based upon the amount of teams that are in it. So
while we're on the topic of ACC, I'd like to pull back my Miami to win the conference and be in the playoff.
Yeah, Van Dyke looked.
We'll just throw
terrible.
that out. Forget that one.
I
will
say on your top 25 comments there, Jared. We'll see. There's 5 in there right now. You're taking up the 22, 23, and 24 spots. So yes, you have the presence, but I'm curious how good the ACC is to keep those numbers in the top 25.
Absolutely. It'll be the teams like NC State, Florida State winning the games that they should win in the ACC and not getting upset by like Boston Colleges or Virginia Techs.
Mm-hmm. So your prediction was 10-2 for the season. Sticking with that?
As of right now, yes. I mean, I think this is the biggest scare coming up this week. And honestly, I'm starting to get a little more nervous about the Florida State game. I know Florida State really hasn't played anyone super great yet. It seems like LSU is just kind of okay. But that game, being in Tallahassee, that game is starting to worry me a little bit. So I want to see how they do up until we play them. But it's got me raising my eyebrows a little bit.
All right. I still don't want to talk Michigan State football yet. So, Thomas, do you want to talk UConn football or just want to say, yeah?
No, all I'll say is they covered, and there you go. They covered a spread, and they put up 10 points against an ACC team. I'll take it.
At this point in time, being that they are what they are, why don't you went to NC State, just throw your...
The thing about NC State football is just blah. It's just, even when I was there, it's they're more of an NFL talent pool than they are an actual.
That's perfect for you.
Yeah, no, that's true.
True.
It's true, but you never know who is it's kind of random in a way. Like, who thought Mike Lennon would be in the NFL for 8 years, right? Who thought
Jacoby Brissett would be leading the Browns?
Yeah, seriously, Jacoby Brissett when I was there was a nobody. It's just. It's interesting. So I don't know. Maybe one day I'll become a full out NC State fan, but I have some faith.
My pastor is an NC State grad, and he would take issue with your comments right here.
It's not I don't know. It's not a football school. I would say it's more of a basketball. I guess it's more of a basketball school. I think it's more of a basketball school slightly.
I'd agree with. I mean. Yeah, when you think NC State, the first sport that's going to come to your mind is probably going to be basketball.
Probably because of 86 with Valvano.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean,
it's close. It is close.
I haven't been there to do a game. I mean, you were there, so I'm not going to question you.
They would pack 40 to 50,000.
Okay,
yeah, they would.
You're just more capable as far as football goes compared to the other state rivals like UNC and Duke. Like y'all are much more like stable of just an overall athletics program. Sure. Both of those schools.
And I mean, really,
you look at Duke. I mean, you got lacrosse, field hockey, soccer, basketball. I don't know, chess, debate. Like, you got to really start searching for that. NC State, you can look across the board. Like, they have a solid sports program.
So here's an interesting question to ask. If you're going to pick a team when you think of the state of North Carolina to represent the state of North Carolina for college football, Wake Forest or NC State?
App State.
I thought the same thing, but I wasn't going to say it.
I was going to say, if I'm going for like passionate fan base, I'm going App State.
Probably the passionate fan base.
Yeah, more historic
although
have
Christian,
face of it is what I would say.
You could probably, I mean, does UNC still have some buzz about football? It's not like they're. I mean, you got Mac Brown. I mean, they've had some highs. Like the highs of UNC football have been.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I feel like historically, it's just nobody. It's just okay. When does college basketball start? Yeah, I mean, there's.
That's where I'm almost at as a Spartan fan.
I would say it's tough to say. It's almost still Carolina because like there's no changing allegiances between basketball and football. And so really in basketball, NC State and Wake Forest are like the stepchildren in a way. And it's Duke and Carolina. And then football, Carolina definitely has more history over Duke. And so in that sense, I kind of would say it's still UNC. NC State is there.
Passion, maybe not, but it's maybe
fans. Yeah, passion
national championships.
App State for sure.
Any claim national championships between Duke, NC State,
just the state,
UNC?
Maybe back in like the 50s.
Yeah, because the ACC doesn't really have many football championships outside of Florida State and Miami. So,
and Clemson.
Who?
Dabo Swinai. All right.
Yeah,
Liberty University football. Yeah. See,
Oh, he switched over. He's flipped from Michigan State to Liberty now.
Yeah, Jared, you know anything about switching wardrobe?
I know nothing about that.
Maybe a LU Clemson basketball game.
It might be on under this shirt. Maybe.
If I'm honest, this is a little bit of me being what's what I'm looking for.
Embarrassed?
No, being superstitious. I've worn MSU stuff every week, and outside of playing the 2 cupcakes, it hasn't done me super well. So maybe if I don't give it too much, maybe
they can turn it around.
We'll see. Liberty football. Let's talk on that. That's true. However, I feel pretty good about Liberty this weekend. Especially, Salter was back in practice today, right, Christian?
Yeah, it looks like it. From what I was hearing, it sounded like people were thinking it was a pulled groin, and so that would be multiple weeks. But potentially there's just an infection or something like that, and don't ask questions. So he could be back, which could be really good. I mean, obviously, I did not have too much hope going into this game if we didn't have him. And Hampton coming into quarterback, maybe, but Jonathan Bennett, love the guy, but he's not it overall for our quarterback. He started off hot, but in that game, and then Akron just made adjustments, and he was miserable for the rest of the game. So that being the case, I mean, they got the win, which is good against Akron. Akron's not a good school, but you get the win. You move on to ODU. If Salter's back, I think they should get the win. Any weather impacts, I do think will help them as well. I mean, the one thing that is good about our offense is the run game. So that weather would help that, as well as, I mean, our defense is incredible, which has been so amazing to have. I mean, it's definitely been ramping up the past few years, but it hasn't been there. And now this defense is top notch. And really ODU, I mean, they don't have a good run game. They have a big wide receiver and tight end who are pretty solid. But again, if there's decent weather impacts, hopefully that takes them out of the game a decent amount. So I'm hopeful for them this weekend.
Yeah. I was quite happy them coming away with the win this weekend. It was kind of looking a little dicey there for a little bit. And
yeah,
I had said it, Irons, he got hurt in the Michigan State game. Michigan State did blank them, but when he was in, they moved the ball pretty well. And I don't think that's a shutout at all for Michigan State, especially what I've seen recently. had irons played all the way through that game. So them being able to keep him in check was good. We need our quarterback back.
Yes, very much so.
Now, do you think Salter keeps the job when in 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying 3 or 4 weeks probably. I think if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like I don't know why you would switch it up in the middle of the season, especially. I mean, when Brewer's coming back, that's going to be the heat of the season. You've got BYU, you've got Arkansas, you got Virginia Tech. So at that point in the season, I don't know why you'd go back. Which I mean, it's unfortunate for Brewer. Maybe we can throw in a package or something. Try it out in like the New Mexico State game or the bowl game or something. But otherwise, I don't see why you'd make the switch. I think that would just throw off the rhythm of the offense.
It'd be tough to put Brewer back in so long as Salter is consistent and productive.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. If he is missing one or both of those things, I think it makes Freeze's decision to give it back to Brewer a lot easier. So,
but at the same time, we don't even know what we'd get with Brewer. I mean, we saw a quarter of play against Southern Miss. And
but you have 10 plus years of college experience with him. So that's the thing. I mean, I guess the experience, and he's coming from Power 5 football. So coming up to those games, like you said, if Salter is struggling maybe against an ODU in the next couple of games, then you go to the experienced quarterback against the Power 5, the ranked teams, because he's been there. He's done it. I mean, not maybe, like you said, you don't know what he can do in this system with these players. So it is a tough switch. I don't think it's a lock at all. But if Salter if Salter looks like he has the last few games when healthy, then it's his job to keep the rest of the year, I think.
Yeah, and I would say as well, I mean, their goal continuously is just bowl eligibility. And so if you're already at 6 wins going into those games,
then don't change it.
Yeah. Then, I mean, I wouldn't change it. Give Salter the experience because you're going to have him for multiple years. And I mean, while he's raw and he might not be as consistent, he can still make game-changing plays.
We got to think about team chemistry as well, and his morale, right? You pull him after playing well. How does that look? Because like you said, he's going to be there for a couple more years. So, you have to know your players, and then you have to get a read on the team as well. Are they rallying around Salter and his play because he's more of a playmaker? Things like that. That definitely has a factor in.
In this year, in this situation, I'd rather go with the guy who could make a big play to change a game, even if he's going to be inconsistent. I'd say take that shot. We have nothing to lose, in my opinion.
Yeah,
games. We have games to lose, Christian.
I'm with you guys though. I like him being the starter throughout the rest of the year as well. I feel like he's proven that he certainly deserves the opportunity, just with his gameplay. And I mean, we've had some really quality offensive drives, and I mean he's been the orchestrator of that. So against good competition. So I mean, I feel like I agree with you guys. I think it should be his to lose at this point.
I can't remember. Do you guys remember what we said preseason for Liberty? Were we 7-5?
I think it was 8-4.
Is that what we?
I said double-digit wins. And you all laughed at me.
I wasn't on.
Jared said 12-0. It was weird.
Yeah, 12-0. No, I think
about 7-5.
I think you said 9.
I was hovering around 6.5 or 7. So
yeah, I think we said 8. I think it's because of the juggernauts that they had in there.
I said 10 because I said that we would go 9-3, and then we'd win our bowl game and get to 10.
Okay, so Old Dominion
the bowl game.
No.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay. Well, no one said that.
Never count your bowl game. Not until postseason. So 3-1 right now. Old Dominion. I think that's 4.
It's not gonna be a cupcake. I'll tell you that. Old Dominion is not a bad team. They beat Virginia Tech.
Yeah, but
it's not going to be a cupcake. Yeah,
I wouldn't say a cupcake either. But we'll see.
Toss up.
I think it's a must win in a way.
I agree with Thomas on that. Yeah. I absolutely agree with Thomas. It's a must win.
Okay. I mean, the line's at 2 points, and at ODU's not an easy place to play at. So
that's fair. let's say 4 wins this weekend, 5 wins UMass, 6 wins Garber Webb. I'm just gonna say BYU and Arkansas are losses.
Hold on, let's go back there for a second.
You forgot UConn.
You think that
I'll be there. I'll be at that game.
You think Liberty's absolutely gonna win during the Pride Week game of UMass?
We don't need to get into that.
I think it's time for NFL. Heisman draft. Heisman draft.
It might throw us off.
Yeah, I have jokes, but we're gonna keep this very G-rated. Yeah, so I think they win that. I think you're 7 wins there, and then realistically, yeah, Jared, you might be right. I mean, they could have 10 wins when this is all said and done.
Tech game is very winnable, and so is UVA. I think
we don't play UVA.
Oh, we don't play UVA this year?
UConn, back in Mexico State, or how we finish out those 3.
And Jared's just loading up the schedule.
That's how he gets
better look out.
For some reason, I thought we played both of them again this year because we've done that in the past.
Jared's got 15 games on the schedule for Liberty.
I think if they can beat Old Dominion this week, there's a real likelihood that they're 9 wins. And then if you can steal either BYU or Arkansas, you can get to 10. So
I think they can beat BYU, but
I was more thinking 7-5.
Game.
I think we kind of settled on 8-4, but preseason I was kind of thinking 7-5. So my prediction is being proven wrong in a positive way, unlike how it's going to go for my other team.
Also, Kyle, just know BYU game is almost completely sold out if you don't have tickets.
I will be gone, so doesn't matter. I will be in Michigan that weekend.
I will say that Salter needs to be healthy for us to actually have a chance at the 10 wins. Though.
That's a given.
That's a given. Yeah. Yes, doesn't have to be said.
Yeah.
Okay, so Michigan State is 2-2 now. I will be at the game on Saturday in Maryland. I don't like thanking that team in Ann Arbor very often, but they might have helped me a little bit because it sounds like Tauila Tagovailoa his health status has not been released yet, so it's up in the air whether or not he plays with a rib injury. So
who's their backup?
I couldn't tell you. And I think they're a good team even without Tauila. I don't know how good they are without Tauila though. So, and coming off a hard week playing at U of M. Listen, I'm scared to death of a 5-7 season at this point in time. 6-6. I said it last week. Minnesota, that was a must-win game. Minnesota because of what was coming up. Having now Maryland at home against number 3 Ohio State, Wisconsin at home at number 4 Michigan. I mean, to even get to have 3 wins going into the 9th week, we have to win one of these next 4. And I don't feel good about playing at Maryland on Saturday. It's going to be raining more than likely from the hurricane, so maybe that forces a run game and keeps the ball out of the air, and that gives me a little bit more hope. But I mean, if they don't win this game, I ain't beating Ohio State. That's for sure not going to happen. I hate to say it, but it ain't going to be Michigan either. I know it's a rivalry game, anything can happen, but I think we're way too outmatched. However, we were way too outmatched in 2022. But way too outmatched. Wisconsin, I'd actually probably feel the best out of all these 4. But so say take one of those, that's 3. Illinois 4, Rutgers 5. You got to beat Indiana or Penn State to get to 6 even for a bowl game at that point in time. I said 7-5 wouldn't surprise me this year. 9-3 was kind of what I thought was kind of the high end. I was kind of letting 8-4. I tell you guys, we get to a bowl game at this point in time, I'm happy. It's bad. On Saturday against Minnesota, we ran. Not only could our defense not stop Minnesota, but the offense, when they got in the field, they didn't do anything either. They ran 8 plays in the time that Minnesota went up 17-0, including 2 punts, the 4th down punts. So essentially 6 offensive plays before being down 17-0 to Minnesota. Minnesota, just like Washington, knew exactly where to go. They were a run team, but they looked like one of the best passing attacks in the country, 505 yards. They knew exactly where to go. Scotty Hazelton said in his press conference that it's not personnel. I'm like, well, I don't know. You're down 5 starters on defense, and your defense was already questionable as it was coming into the year. That was our biggest concern. Down 5 starters, and even when you could have Xavier Henderson out there, I think he's going to get blown up by players too, and not be able to cover anything. It's just we play some pretty darn high power offenses coming up these next few weeks, and it don't look good.
It's one of those years where injuries and people not in the program anymore just leave you with gaps. But I think, unfortunately, it never feels good to be that fan. But I think you guys are a program that will bounce back faster than most others.
I hope.
Coming from a program that we take our time bouncing back, like years upon years upon years to bounce back and have a good program. So
yeah,
I think you guys, especially with Mel, this is not going to be a long-term situation for y'all, which, by the way, I asked about the backup quarterback. So you'll be interested to know if Talia doesn't play, Billy Edwards Jr., the redshirt freshman transfer, is likely to be the person who would be starting. So buckle up, Kyle, because offensive powerhouse Billy Edwards Jr. would be on the field.
Did he play against Michigan?
I don't know. I'm just looking at their depth chart.
Okay. Yeah, I'm while you're looking that up, I agree. Like, you have fan overreactions across the board that say, "Oh, Tucker's not the guy." It's listen, the guy's in let's call it year 2.5. COVID year doesn't necessarily, I don't think, counts for a whole lot at that point in time. You're in year 2.5. Last year was a magical season because nobody. Our over under was 4 and 6, or 4.5 wins is what Vegas had on there. So last year was just a magical year with a Heisman. Should have been a Heisman finalist. I think that keeps on showing the longer this goes on how big of a difference he made on that team, and that's what that's what Heisman's supposed to be about, is who makes the biggest difference across the board. He definitely was the biggest difference maker in that. I think without Kenneth Walker last year, it's a 7-win team maybe. It's Tucker is still building a roster from what D'Antonio left, not a whole lot there. It's going to take some time. I do think it's definitely personnel to a large point. Coaching's got to be better too, though. If they get blown out this week and next week, I don't think Hazelton coaches past the Ohio State game. I think they make the move, get rid of Hazelton, and go into Wisconsin, and then go into the bye week before the Michigan game, trying to figure something else out. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm hopeful for the future still. I'm not jumping on this. Oh, Tuck's not going to get it done. He's still recruiting well. Even yesterday, got a 4-star cornerback out of Hawaii for 2024. So already starting off that class well. I just want to see they finish out this recruiting class good. Hopefully bring in some more defense and see where things go.
So changing the projection. What did you have him at?
Oh,
8? Did you have him at 8 or?
I had him at 8. I had him at 8-4 as my likelihood.
So
I said 7-5 I'd be okay with. Honestly, I hate saying this. 5-7 probably. You got to steal one against his next 4, and that's going to be pretty darn hard.
Yeah.
Probably Wisconsin, and then you got to hope that you don't have a slip up against Illinois, Rutgers, or Indiana. And with this defense, that's hard. That's hard saying. Like those 3 teams are terrible, but that's a hard ask to not have any mistakes in those 3 where you have no margin for error. And then Penn State looks fantastic, especially playing in Happy Valley. So probably 5-7, unfortunately. So Yeah, that's my sadness. So we can move on then. So Big 12. You want to talk a little bit about Big 12?
We could do that quick and then do our Heisman draft. I'm excited about the Heisman draft. But yeah, let's do the Big 12 first.
In general, Big 12 or Big 12
Yeah,
champions?
I mean, I think, no, as far as Big 12, just, how.
Let's just start with the question at the end up front. Let's get it out of the way. Is Kansas legit? I say
no. That wasn't the question. Is Kansas at the top of the Big 12?
No. Heavens no.
So who is it?
No. Baylor. Oklahoma still. Oklahoma State.
So here's the thing.
Is Kansas legit?
Without injury, I would say that Texas is on top of the Big 12 easily. But you lose Quinn Ewers, that just shifts the entire team, unfortunately. And I realize that's just part of it. You got to deal with the injuries. But right now, Kansas they're not looking like, I don't want to say they look like the most talented football team out there, but they have a very effective offense. And if you can have an effective offense that can put up points, you can get away with some of the weaker sides on defense in college. Can't do that in NFL. It doesn't work like that in NFL. But
yeah, but against Duke, Houston, West Virginia, and Tennessee Tech?
Yeah.
Houston too.
Well,
I said
Daniels might show up in our Heisman draft, maybe. I don't know. He's been that good.
He has been that good because he's been running the football really well too.
I mean, we're going 5 deep. He might make that top 5 for the Heisman draft.
You look at West Virginia playing Pitt so close, they lost by what, like 1 touchdown?
Yeah,
to a really good ranked Pitt team. So like West Virginia is not terrible.
What's Pitt right now?
What are they, 24 now? I think. But I mean, West Virginia, they smashed Towson and they beat Tech pretty handily, Virginia Tech. So like West Virginia is not a bad team. And Kansas looked pretty comfortable beating them.
What's weird is I don't think I've ever seen a team win by 2 scores in overtime before. And Kansas did against West Virginia because I guess they returned the interception for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Kyle, let me ask you this. Do you think Kansas will make a bowl game?
Oh, that's a good question.
Absolutely.
So let me read the schedule real quick just to give you an idea.
They don't win this weekend. This is not one of our picks. They do not beat Iowa State this weekend. So
okay,
Iowa State doesn't really look that good. I'm gonna be honest.
I was gonna say this is one of Iowa State's worst years.
Yeah,
sure, but I'm still gonna take. I still think the Iowa State team is better than this Kansas team, and Vegas is on my side right now. Iowa State's the 3-point favorite, so
3 points. So it's still a toss up.
Okay, but
I don't think up to Kansas.
I don't think they win this weekend, so that puts them 4-1.
Okay,
you know why? You know why they're.
Let me ask you this: do you genuinely not think that they'll win, or you don't want them to win?
I don't think they'll win. I think Matt Campbell is still a good enough coach, and that Iowa State team is still good. The Iowa State team who beat Iowa, whose defense, I get Iowa's offense is nothing, but Iowa's defense is extremely legit, and they still put up points on Iowa.
So for
Kyle,
Iowa, this is not Iowa's best year either. Even their defense. Their defense is still kind of on the struggle bus this year.
Their defense is pretty darn good. I think they're top 10.
I think for points scored, I think I saw that they were number 1 actually.
Yeah, they're still right there.
Yeah. We'll come up with a off the show podcast wager for that game this weekend though.
Iowa State 31. Iowa State played Baylor close 31-24, and I think Baylor's still good. So
okay. What's the schedule? So keep it on rolling through it. Home against TCU.
Win.
TCU looks good, but yeah.
TCU's good.
I'll give it.
Okay. At Oklahoma.
Loss.
At Baylor.
Loss.
Home at Oklahoma State.
Loss.
At Texas Tech.
Loss.
Win.
Home against Texas.
I'd still probably say loss.
Yeah. And at Kansas State.
Loss.
So you think they lose out?
I'm telling you, if I'm betting on each one of those games right now, that's how I'm betting on each one of those games. Does that happen?
They'll get one more win the rest of the season.
I think they'll probably I'm going to be wrong on a couple of those, but I'm not going to say it's more than 2.
So they do make a bowl game then.
If they only win 2 more games?
Yeah, that'd
be 6. Because they're 4-0. They're undefeated right now.
Yeah.
Did you know that they were undefeated?
They're going 5-1.
I knew they're undefeated, but I was
the next 2. They're going to be 5-1. They're going to split the next 2, so they're going to go 1-5 in their last 6.
You're right.
I personally think they win against Iowa State, then lose against TCU.
Okay, if I would still probably, let me say this, I'd still probably bet all those games the exact same way. But knowing that they'll probably be 5-1, I probably would not bet them not to make it to a bowl game. I'd say I'd be wrong on a couple of those. I think best case scenario is 6-6, maybe 7-5. Best case scenario. They're not.
Do you feel that? Do you feel this way because it's literally Kansas and like they've been a doormat?
But I watched even parts of the Duke game. It didn't look that great. I mean, it's Duke. They're terrible. And
effective. They are effective. They are not flashy or sexy at all. They put up points. They put up simple points. And I don't know. I could see them being 2 games above 500.
It sits on Daniels too, man. Like he's just been fantastic this year. I like what I was about to say. This quarter, he is in the Heisman conversation, 100%. 100%. I think he's number 5 for QBR in the country, and the stats that he's put up, both passing and running the football, there's no way you can deny that he is not first quarter Heisman.
I think they're showing they've got a coach that could. I'm not saying he's a long-term coach. This is Kansas football, and it's the first time in a long time since what was his name, Mangini was there, that they have actually looked like a potentially relevant team. So, but I think they have a coach who has potential to like show that he's the guy long-term. You know,
now I will say this. Year,
okay, can you recruit now? Can you build on that? Can you stretch this a little bit further?
I will say this. They will have to score 30 or more points in just about all of their games in order to have a chance, because their defense, I don't think, is very good. But they can absolutely score.
That's Big 12 football.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, they're going to have to score at least 30 to have a shot.
Jared, if I was you and you feel that strong about JT Daniels, go put $1 on him right now.
About JT Daniels?
50.
JT is the West Virginia quarterback, right?
Oh, that's
I'm talking about the Kansas quarterback. His name is Jalen Daniels.
Oh, okay. Same odds. I was looking at the wrong one. Same odds. Plus 15,000. Go throw $1 on him.
Well, I don't know if he'll be at the end of the season, but I'm saying like the first quarter. That's all I said. The first quarter, he's absolutely in the Heisman conversation, 100%.
I got a question.
On the list of like 40 players here, he's like 3rd from the bottom.
So, all right, I will.
Crazy.
I'll give Jared this. When's the last time a Kansas quarterback would even be considered a top 40 player in the country? Like through this point in the season, even though it's only been a short while. So I'm with Jared there. Is he going to be there at the end of the season? Probably not. But a Big 12 schedule is a lot more favorable than some of these other conferences for individual accomplishments and achievements. So not out of the realm of possibility.
Okay. Who wins the Big 12?
Kansas. No. I kind of think Kansas State.
I like it. I respect it. I don't know that I wouldn't pick that, but I respect that. That's
that was such a like. All right. I disagree completely, but okay.
Can we make this a 2-part question as far as who wins and do you think they make the playoffs? Because I think the overall health, right? Okay, so I don't think anybody right. The overall health of the Big 12 is pretty down. They're not making the playoffs this year.
2 teams from the SEC are definitely getting in, and
probably Clemson if they're 1 loss or less.
So 2 teams from the Big Ten can get in if the SEC falters and only one would get in. I think that you could have, depending on what happens with Michigan, you could have another Michigan-Ohio State
Penn
scenario.
Or USC.
Yeah, or Penn
and
State.
And Pac-12 with USC. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pac-12.
Yeah, because now that Oklahoma
in.
lost. Yeah, now that Oklahoma lost, that kind of takes out Big 12. I mean, I know Oklahoma State's in the mix at the moment.
If Pac-12 and ACC want to grab that spot, because they're almost competing against each other or the second team in another conference, like those teams have to be undefeated.
Yeah. Only way that I think a Pac-12, or I can say that, the only way a Big 12 team gets in at this point in time would be for Oklahoma State to run the table and go undefeated. That's anything short of that. I don't see a Big 12 getting in, and I don't see that happening. But my pick, I would say probably Oklahoma State to win the Big 12.
And isn't it interesting that going to Georgia? Isn't it interesting that they look the best out of anyone this entire season, and then this week against Kent State,
why is this coming up?
They don't look good. Well, I'm bringing this up. I'm bringing this up because you thought that they were going to just be the runaway favorite. Like that's just what it looked like.
Down quarter.
They won by 17 against Kent State.
Why is this
not good? Not good.
I don't know why this is the topic.
Do you think they tried?
We're giving our
Big
12 winners. We're giving our Big 12 winners, and you're bringing up Georgia.
Hold on. No. We started.
Jared
started talking about what
we were starting talking about other teams,
what the other conferences can do. And also, let me just say, I rarely defend Jared. Usually, I'm the one attacking him.
Yeah, that's right.
Twice in one show. No, I'm with Jared though, and I think this is the case across multiple conferences. That the larger teams are showing the gaps within themselves. So oddly enough, Kent State happened to show some Georgia gaps. Big 12, I think we see the gaps in every team every single week. Pac-12, I don't know. I haven't paid enough attention to USC to see if they've kind of shown that, but I think some of the bigger teams aren't necessarily invincible. I still contend that the best team right now, most well-rounded, most effective is Ohio State. Alabama, when they were playing Texas, they showed a lot of issues that they have. I mean, Bryce Young he's got talented weapons around him, but it's probably one of their weakest offensive lines that they've ever had. And you better believe that teams are going to be capitalizing on that.
And weakest wide receiver groups probably in a long time.
Yeah, which they'll be fine. They'll bounce back from, but this is the year to capitalize against Alabama. So I'm with Jared there. I see, as far as when you look at these other conferences, could the Big 12 make a run? Maybe. I don't think it'll be Oklahoma since they already have 1 loss on their record. But, it could be another team if they happen to go undefeated and we see some of these other teams falter.
I think the team that actually, I mean, the SEC is just so open because you have Arkansas, who's very good. You have Tennessee, who's very good. And you used to have Kentucky. I mean, the SEC is they could wind up beating each other up before the season's in. And you might not have 2 teams from the SEC in this year.
I still look at this. You're talking. I'm looking at this game, this Georgia Kent State game, and yes, I get but Kent State didn't. They scored 1 touchdown until garbage time, and then scored the one.
Georgia was never worried about losing that game.
No, at all. 529 yards to 281. Like Georgia, that's a bad take, Jared. I'm sorry.
No, they were in that game until halftime.
We're talking about the Big 12, but.
All right, I think we might.
And we were talking about teams, that were going to make the playoffs.
But
we were talking about teams that are going to make the playoffs.
Now you're hijacking the segment. You're hijacking the segment.
You know what? Right. No, I want to talk about Georgia now.
No.
Because I think teams are going to be looking at that film.
No.
Why did they only put up?
Because they didn't
points
care.
on a 1 and 2.
Are we scrapping the Big?
I don't think it's college football. You got to put up as many points as you possibly can.
We go our
Let's go to
Heisman.
Heisman, please.
I think the Big 12 conversation's already over, Thomas.
Yeah, it's
so
over. It's over. Let's go to the
Oh my
Heisman.
God.
Well, nobody
Good
cares
job,
about Big
Jeffrey.
12, so we got to make it
that's
about
the point.
SEC or Big
That's
10.
the point. That's the point, I guess.
All right.
The Big 12
How
is
many
irrelevant.
home
Jeffrey's
runs?
switching conversations like he switches teams.
How many home runs does Judge have, Thomas? We'll calm you down here.
He has 60.
Still at 60. He'll get a 61. Don't
He
worry
got
about
walked 4 times tonight.
4 times.
it. He'll get a 61. It'll happen.
Sorry, is this a baseball
All,
podcast?
all
No,
you
he
need.
just had to calm me down.
I just had to calm me down. Just get Manfred to not put him on Apple TV again, and he'll hit it. That's all
He
he
still
needs.
has the Triple Crown.
There you go. First one since Cabby.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Week 5 picks.
Wait, are we doing Heisman? Before
Oh
the
yeah, I
picks?
forgot. We gotta do Heisman.
We'll do quick.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we
Let's do
can.
it quick.
We got
We
this.
just gotta put this on.
All right,
record.
I got the spinner here. Let's see. Who are we gonna roll with first? And I gotta wait for it to stop, and it's going around.
There's an obvious number one while it's waiting. There's an obvious number one, I would assume. So hopefully Peyton doesn't get the number one, so he can still get his guy.
Thomas, take your obvious number one.
Wow. All right. Well, the obvious number one is CJ Stroud. I think it's so far not a runaway, but it's an obvious number one with CJ Stroud.
So you're drafting CJ Stroud. Dang
I'll
it,
draft CJ Stroud.
Jared, take Daniels. Take him. Take him.
Is he number 2? Jared, did you get the second pick?
Yeah,
Yeah, who is second?
you.
It is me.
That's why I said take Daniels. Just do it. Either Jalen or
Honestly,
JT.
you know what? I'm gonna be a homer, and I'm gonna say Will Shipley.
Where's he at on the odds? for that?
Oh my gosh, I don't even have him in the top 10 right now.
Yeah,
He's
okay.
at plus 9,000.
Come on, Jared. I thought this was going to be real.
It is gonna be real. Don't worry.
That's your first pick, though.
That's my first pick.
Christian.
You can change it.
Yeah, we could change it week to week, but I thought you
Yeah,
were
of
gonna come-
course.
But if you picked him, you get to hold on to it. So
Well, I'm not
There's
gonna
one
pick.
that I
I'm not
wanna
gonna pick DJ.
At least you are smart enough to figure that out. There's one I want to take. I'm gonna save it, hopefully, for somebody else to be able to take. But I'll take Caleb Williams.
okay. Why?
I mean, if USC keeps on winning, I mean, he's going to be in the conversation. In the Pac-12, they hopefully should. Obviously, they do have some concerns, but I mean, they're in a strong position. So if they're undefeated, he's going to be in New York. So,
Like it. Well, you know I was honest because I'm the last pick. So Peyton, go ahead.
So it's not going to surprise anybody. First of all, if I would have picked first, I would have taken Stroud.
Same.
But I'm not picking first. So Hendon Hooker. No, I
Same
honestly,
for
I
you.
think if we're effective in the schedule and Hooker executes, I genuinely think he has a shot at winning. I was very close. Like Stroud was my definite number one, but it was between Hooker and another guy. I'm not going to say the name until Kyle picks. So
I'm happy you guys left him for me. I was going to pick him before I was going to pick CJ Stroud. Yeah, I'm taking Bryce Young. And hear me why I was going to take Bryce Young over Stroud. I know Jared, Peyton, you're high on Ohio State. I'm not. I think Ohio State drops 2 or 3 games throughout the season here. So I know we have not had a back-to-back Heisman winner since Ohio State. Come on, help me.
you can do it.
Come on. Blank on the name. I see his face. I just can't say the name. Oh, come on. This is terrible.
Wait,
Well,
This
we're
is Big
football
Ten.
fans?
This is all you, buddy.
Oh, come on.
you're Ohio State
I'm the
player?
NFL guy here.
Yes, back-to-back Heisman winners.
Oh, was it Troy Smith?
No, way back before that. Oh, come on.
You're talking about? Is it a quarterback?
No.
Running back?
Yes. Ohio State.
Is it with something like that? It's,
Archie Griffin. Jeez.
Archie Griffin. Okay. Well,
Yes.
that's not who I was thinking.
Archie Griffin's the only back-to-back Heisman winner. I think it changes this year. I think it is. I think it is Bryce Young.
All right, nobody picked
So
my
who
number
did
2.
everyone pick? Who did everyone pick? So you got Stroud, Peyton. You got Hooker.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, you took Young. Who'd you take, Christian?
Caleb Williams.
So I am going to change mine. I want to be Michael Penix. Give me Michael Penix.
He's just your second round pick. You can't.
First of all,
he can change it.
First of all,
he can change it.
Michael Penix.
Penix was who I was going to call out. Was neck and neck for my pick with Hendon.
Well, nobody picked my. Okay, I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
Second of all, Jared, we even told you, are you sure that is who you want? And you said, oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think he decided to not be fanish or foolish. He decided to go with.
Well, I had to look at stats, too. I had to pull that up. So I pulled it up.
So nobody picked my number 2.
Who's your number 2?
Around?
And it's not a quarterback. It's Brock Bowers. The tight end
he's definitely very good. I don't know if he'll be a Heisman.
I don't think his
tight ends don't win the Heisman.
No, I know, but
I don't win the Heisman.
I don't think his stats might get
trophy.
there, but he is one of the best players in college right now, and he's got 5 touchdowns, I believe. They use him in the running game a bit. I mean, he
has better odds than Will Shipley.
He could he could be a Devontae Smith type player where his stats are just otherworldly for his position.
Yeah.
Therefore, he rises above. If some of these other quarterbacks are like borderline mediocre or just very good,
it's not a quarterback heavy year. It's not a quarterback heavy year. The running backs haven't been that strong. Wide receivers aren't sticking out too much just yet. He had 13 touchdowns as a freshman, a true freshman at Georgia. I think if he gets to that 20 touchdown mark, maybe. I don't know. I think he is, as you said, Christian, his odds are definitely rising. And I've seen him in the top 5 in some polls thus far already.
All right.
Also,
we got our
just one last thing. If Heisman was actually about who adds the most to a team, the Heisman should be Chris Reynolds from Charlotte.
Walk us through.
I don't know the difference
of Charlotte between when he is in and out is astronomical.
What position does this guy play?
Quarterback.
Okay, thank you.
Why are we talking about Charlotte football?
I know you're just
Move
throwing
on.
out names on Charlotte football. Like
Sorry,
you know who this is.
That's
could have been a
I
fullback.
know, and it's only because of how bad they are without him. And we were talking earlier about.
In like
you sit down and watch Charlotte football, Christian.
No, I only look at it from an odd.
Christian, in 5 minutes here, when I do a quick trivia question here, you can thank Charlotte for a minute there in the city of Charlotte. All right. Last week for picks. Thomas, way to go. Bounce back. 4-1. And Christian, we needed you to have an off week, and boy, did you have an off week. 1-4.
I got too confident.
And then Jared 3-2, and Peyton and I were 2-3. So that brings it up to now. Thomas and Jared are tied for first place at 13-7. And yeah, even with the percentages now, we've evened it out. So now you're not picking that first week, Christian, puts us all even across the board here. So let's get into this week's first picks then here. First one, we're going to have the Alabama Crimson Tide traveling to the Arkansas Razorbacks. I'm going to give me Bama. I don't think Arkansas is that great as much as I thought they were at the beginning of the year. I don't even think they finished season ranked. So give me the Crimson Tide. Jared.
Yeah, same. Same. I think Bama probably gets tripped up at some point this year. This isn't the game.
All right, Jared?
I'm going Arkansas. Arkansas.
Yes.
I'm going Arkansas. I think they bounce back and get this one. Alabama's had a few weird losses the last few years, and I think this is going to be one of them. I actually think Alabama might lose multiple games this year.
Thomas, I know why we put this game on the schedule. Just even though it's a 17-point favorite, just to be able to get a win for us, right?
This was one for Jared.
So I don't think it's any surprise that I'm picking not Alabama. I think this is one of the worst Alabama football teams in recent years. Now, granted, put that against every other team in the country, and they're still like so good. This is one of the better Alabama defenses. This offense, by their standards, is not super great, and I think it's weak QB play, or not QB play, weak wide receiver play and weak offensive line. I think they have talented running backs. I think they have a great quarterback, but you gotta have those other pieces. So give me Arkansas.
Christian.
Yeah, I'm going to be rooting for Arkansas. I'm going to have them plus 17. I will happily be wrong, but I'm going to go Alabama.
All right. Moving on to Oklahoma State, traveling to number 9 Oklahoma State, traveling to number 16 Baylor. Round robin, Christian, you're up first.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I kind of, I don't know. There's part of me that says Oklahoma State's a little fraudulent. That's probably wrong. But going off of that, I'm going to go with Baylor in this one.
All right, Thomas.
My heart, no, not my heart. My mind says Baylor. I don't know why, but my mind says Baylor at home. Even though I wasn't very impressed in their last 2 games, especially the BYU game. Their offense got very stagnant, but I don't know. Something just says Baylor. Give me Baylor.
Peyton?
Oklahoma State. Baylor has had a not super consistently productive offense. And like we've already talked about, Big 12 is all about like high-powered offense, not as much defense. Give me Oklahoma State.
All right. Jared?
I'm also going to Oklahoma State. I think Baylor's more of a pretender.
Right. I'm going to go Oklahoma State too. Give me Mike Gundy. Give me those Cowboys. All right. Number 22, Wake Forest, taking on number 23, Florida State University. Seminoles. Oh, man. Deacons or Seminoles? This is a toss-up. I really have no idea. I'm going to stay Florida State just because I think Wake's played 2 very, very, very tough games in a row, and I think that's got to wear on you. So that's my reasoning. So give me the Seminoles. Jared.
I'm going Wake Forest. I think Florida State, they've had some close scares, and I think Wake's going to bounce back. I think Sam Hartman's going to have another great game. He's just looked fantastic since he's been back in the lineup. I think he's going to have another good game against Florida State. Their defense, Florida State's defense, isn't all that great, so I see Wake putting up points.
All right, Peyton.
Wake. I'm with Jared. I think like they've had tough weeks, but they're looking like a really good team. Florida State is still just whatever way the wind is blowing. So
which it may be blowing a lot.
Yep. Give me Wake.
All right, Thomas.
If this game stays at Florida State, if they don't move this for the Hurricane, give me Florida State. I think they have the better run game. So if weather's a factor, they have the better run game. They have a better pass defense, and I think that's obviously. I think that just the matchup of the defense versus offense with Wake Forest there is a mismatch for Wake Forest, especially on the road.
All right, and then Christian.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't even know how much of an impact the Hurricane will have like on game day. I mean, right now it says sunny in Tallahassee on Saturday. But yeah,
depends on damage.
What was that?
Depends on damage, honestly, I think.
Yeah, no, for sure. But in terms of actual weather on game day, that being the case, I'm going to go Florida State. And I like Wake as a team, but I feel oddly confident about this one. So Florida State.
All right. Wolfpack at Tigers, number 10, North Carolina State, number 5, Clemson.
I defer to the end of the round.
You can't.
Sounds good.
Okay, all right.
Who's first, Kyle?
Christian was.
Christian.
We're going around. Pick. Snake, how we're doing this here. All right, Christian, I like it too. Thomas?
Give me Clemson.
All right. Peyton?
Jared knows.
I do. He likes NC State against us.
Hang on. Jared knows that for like the last 6 or 7 years, I've picked NC State to win this game.
And it's going to stick one of these times.
It did last year.
I'm with you
every time
right now.
I
know where the three of us are at. So,
well, hang on. I think Clemson continues to fix their upward trajectory. So give me Clemson.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my
I am shocked.
I've got a he's gone your team, Jared, so that way NC State will win one of these things.
Don't do that. Yeah, you were happily right last year.
Jared, who do you have? Clemson or NC? Oh, never mind. Clemson. I'm going to go with Christian here. I'm going to take NC State, and because of what Peyton had said, and they've been close so many times, and I think they're a very good team. Man, it's at Clemson though.
Yeah, they've been a thorn in our side a little bit.
Can we not have any more Clemson games after this, so I stop getting picks wrong? Because I'm going to be picking against them every time.
Yeah, you know what?
Why is that, Christian? Is it just to get under my skin, or is it you actually think we're going to lose?
Being that it's at fake Death Valley, I'm taking Clemson.
You know that this is the most points we've scored to start a season since 2000.
Sounds good. I still don't like the offense.
All right, number 7.
More, I just don't like DJU.
Taking on number 14, Ole Miss. Kentucky's really good. Really strong team. I think they've had it not super hard at this point in time, though. And I think Ole Miss is a much better coached and just well-rounded team. So give me the Ole Miss. Jared.
Man, this is a tough one. I really like Kentucky. I think they are a very solid team. I like Stoops. I'm going to go Kentucky to continue on a upward trajectory for them for this season.
Peyton.
Ole Miss, man. Kentucky, I think, while they have not lost yet, I think this is going to be a worse year for them. I mean, this last week they they beat Northern Illinois by just 8. They beat Florida by 10. They're just not. They don't look as effective as they did last year. Ole Miss, I think, Lane Kiffin, once he gets into, I hate that man. Once he gets into SEC play, he's just so tricky to beat. When you're another top 25 team. I think he's smelling blood in the water with Kentucky to start off with conference play. And yeah, I think Ole Miss by 2 scores.
Thomas?
I think it should be Ole Miss at home. I think they are the more talented team. I'm not convinced in Kentucky. I'm not that impressed. I did this year find out that Will Levis is from Connecticut, so I think I have to go Kentucky. I don't know. I think actually just because of the experience there, you have the experienced quarterback going in with the very inexperienced quarterback of Dart from Ole Miss. I think if they can slow down the run just a tad, I don't think Dart's going to have enough to beat them. So give me Kentucky. I don't feel good about it, but give me Kentucky.
All right, Christian, wrap us up here.
Yeah, I don't trust the Ole Miss defense at all, so there's definitely going to be points if they're winning. I'm also still mad at Kentucky from last year against Georgia, ruining my team total under on the last play of the game, even when it didn't matter. That still makes me furious. Anyways, moving on from that, I really do think it's a toss-up. I can see it going either way. I am going to just trust Vegas on this one. They have Ole Miss at like -6 right now, and that's kind of surprising to me. So I'm going to go with Ole Miss.
All right. Well, that will do it for our picks and for our college football segment for week number 6. That was fun. We definitely got into some a little bit more stuff that we didn't intend to get into and some deep stuff. So it was that was good. I liked it, guys. That was fun.
And I contained myself. I could have kept going about Tennessee football.
Oh, for sure. Hey, you're in the top 10 for the first time since what? 2000. I can't remember. Long time. Congrats.
time.
Congrats.
We should have been there in 2016, but it's fine. We're there now.
Old Peyton, he's happy.
That was disappointing, Peyton. I remember. I was on the Tennessee train with you.
Yeah, it was a good year.
All right, so let's go. I do have one trivia question for this week. This is just going to be a.
Glasses coming on.
Answer. I've had them off this whole episode trying to keep the glare away from the screen, but I need to be able to read a little bit more for.
Kyle just drawing us in over here.
That's right. Well, I need him more on when I get into this NFL talk because we're going to get into this debate about which team is more talented, Jets or Lions, and I need to be able to focus and read here as we get to that. So this question is both an NFL and a college question. I'm hoping, Christian, you being the fan of the Panthers will maybe know this.
We'll see how long ago the question is from.
What college did Super Bowl not winning runner-up quarterback Jake Delhomme play at?
Oh, I got this. Yeah, for sure. Easy.
It's all you. Go for it.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt. I didn't know if
No.
Yeah, if you got the answer.
Go for it.
The Louisiana Raging Cajuns.
That would be wrong.
You're just like, what? so confident.
What?
That would be wrong.
So
Christian is distraught.
It is at the time known as a 1AA team. They are an FCS team.
They're still an FCS team?
They are an FCS team.
Okay, I looked it up. I cheated because I had no idea.
You cheated?
Yeah, because I had no idea.
All right, I'll get you. You had the right state.
All right, so it's in Louisiana. Okay.
It's not a football program I've honestly ever gone into.
Thought of?
It's never that football program has never come into my mind.
And Christian's like physically hurt out of this.
He is. He's like, oh my gosh. Did he transfer from Louisiana? Maybe, Christian, or
I don't know. I could have sworn.
So, all right, let's rule him out, Jared.
Oh, I see how I got Hold up.
Was it Louisiana Monroe?
No, he's about to catch on here.
Kyle, go ahead and say what it is.
Southwestern Louisiana.
Okay, thank you. Delhomme played college football at Louisiana, then known as the University of Southwestern Louisiana.
That's right. They became Louisiana Raging Cajuns.
Wow, trick question.
So Christian was correct.
I was correct.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Though. He was like, what?
I was wondering, he was questioning his own existence.
I was wondering when he was going to be able to get it there. So that was fun. That was all because when you brought up Jake, I was going to go with a different player that I wanted to ask you guys a question on. But when you brought up, I was like, where did Jake Delhomme play college at? And I looked it up and I was like, I've never even heard of Southwestern.
Who's the other player you had? That went pretty quick. So.
Did you not have them?
No, I did, but I think I kind of gave this one away a couple weeks. I was going to bring it back up again, and you guys will know it.
So
I'm trying to think how I can ask the question without giving it away.
Just saying their name.
So the question was going to be, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago because I mentioned it on a show, and you guys are probably going to know what it is. See if you remember. This quarterback was drafted in 2000, and he finished number 3 in the Heisman voting.
Brees?
Drew Brees.
In 2000 or 1999?
Yep.
Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm.
Boilermakers.
Yeah, I had more questions attached to that, but I would have given away way more than what it would have been by going into there. So, yeah, Drew Brees, that would have been my other one. So, that was fun. I enjoyed that. All right, let's. You did get it, but I tricked you a little bit because.
Yes, yeah.
Undrafted, by the way. getting to the Super Bowl. Pretty good.
They no longer exist.
And NFL Europe.
So they are not FCS, FCS. They're not double delay. They are now a Sun Belt team. So a pretty darn good one at that. All right, let's turn our focus on here over to the National Football League.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, Peyton, let's just start with you.
Copyright.
Just start. Go ahead. Tell us, what was it like?
Colts win. Colts win. So for anyone listening, I was in Indianapolis for the Colts game this last weekend when we played Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Admittedly, my sister and I were a little pessimistic when we were going into that game. I was just hoping that we would be able to score a touchdown or two before the fourth quarter, preferably. And the things that I noticed in this game were our defense is talented but tired. The secondary, Stephon Gilmore is our weakest link. He looks horrible. So Panthers were very smart in not signing him to anything else. I don't know if it's just a different scheme for him. He seems like I don't know. He seems lost out there, even when he just needs to play man. Anyway, but Mahomes, I'm not sure how the play calling is different. I'm sure you guys saw the video of him and Bieniemy getting into it after the game, and Andy Reid kind of had to just shuffle Mahomes along.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if what Bieniemy was saying or if they shifted their play calling for all of this, but the only connection that was working for Mahomes was him and Kelsey. So our defense did okay. Our offense still looked bad. We limped along, and then that penalty from Chris Jones saved our lives.
100%.
Pittman definitely made a huge contribution. Jonathan Taylor, every single yard that he got was a tough yard. So he had a really difficult day. But Jelani Woods, I mean, you go second string tight end. I think how bad our passing offense has looked, and Pittman definitely being the number one guy, Doolin being the number two guy at this point, it was going to be easy for us to pick such a size mismatch when he gets back there in the secondary, especially when he's getting covered by a safety or a corner or somebody like that. So anyway, overall, still pretty ugly, and I'm not happy with where the Colts are at, but man, oh man, was it electric having everybody go crazy. I know I texted all of you as well. The hate for Matt Ryan is pretty intense right now. We had an old guy sitting in our section a few rows in front of us, who after who knows how many 3-and-outs it was, just started yelling up or standing up, yelling to everyone around him, asking who played high school football, because he'll take them down there right now and put them in the game. So Matt Ryan just, I don't know. He still just doesn't look, he doesn't make his way through his progressions. There were two times when, let's see, Mo Alley Cox, and then I think it was Hines. I mean, they were wide open with the entire field to go, unblocked. And both times, Ryan made like a 10-yard completion, 12-yard completion. Great. But he's just not seeing everything. He's struggling to pick up blitzes, and he is terrified to throw the ball away. So he's taking more of those Super Bowl sacks that just push us 8, 10, 12 yards deeper. So I don't know. He looks like he's in his head. He looks like he's still not comfortable with the offense. So while it was exciting and a lot of fun, we have so much work to do, and I cannot wait for Shaquille Leonard to be back.
So you're saying that Matt Ryan doesn't have the 2005 Madden Peyton Manning vision, QB vision, like he doesn't see the entire field?
Nope. And he doesn't read the defense's minds before the defense even thinks anything.
I thought based upon his stats anyway, he looked like he did okay. He had 2 touchdowns.
It was all at the end. It was all at the end. The production was all at the end.
The last
Jared
two
looking at the
drives.
Well, hey,
box.
that's money time, though, right?
Well, that's money time, though, right?
That's money time, though, right?
Well, that's how you win. Yeah, that's probably the story of the winning. Yeah, that and the penalty, right? The offense figured out at the end, and the penalty was the big game changer there. But overall, if we have time, I want to get into just the quarterback play in general this year. And I don't know what it is. There might be a shift in the NFL, but offense is down. And like you said with Matt Ryan, a lot of these proven quarterbacks that we've known for over 5 to 10 years just don't look the same this year. It's not just Matt Ryan. It's a lot of these quarterbacks. I don't know if it's a shift with defense and speed, offense.
It's a quick pivot. It's just this year where all of a sudden
the unders are hitting at like 63%.
I would love to see a statistic on QB pressures, because I feel like it seems as if there's finally a shift in defensive lines.
Yeah, it could be an offensive line issue.
I feel like the rushers are getting better and better, and that's finally putting some pressure on the quarterbacks to get rid of the football. And the DBs they seem like they're getting better too. So I mean, it seems like the game's adjusting, like you said, because it does feel like it's a little bit of a down year this year.
Yeah, I mean, Charlotte, Michigan, and Lansing Catholic Central graduate in Cooper Rush, first Cowboys quarterback since not Tom Landry, wrong one, Roger Staubach to be 3-0. That's right. Let's go Cooper Rush.
Which even with his 3-0 status, the Cowboys still look so bad.
But they're also 2-0 since Kyle left. So
it's true.
Hey, that's true.
Yeah, Kyle. Yeah, we can skip the Cowboys, right? Because
we can talk about the Vikings. Great win, great comeback.
See, I watched both games though. I didn't.
So what happens if the Cowboys were to somehow, some way win the Super Bowl? Are you going to claim that?
No, but listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. I realize, again, like I said, I'm way too faithful. I watched both, and I got way more excited in the Cowboys winning than I did Minnesota.
I wonder why.
Yeah, one won and one didn't. Well, I guess Minnesota did.
Minnesota won.
Yeah, they won.
They won.
Minnesota won thanks to the Lions having a horrible coaching decision. So
I think this just teaches you a lesson, Kyle, that don't leave. You're a fan for a reason. Just stick with them.
You're right.
I know.
I'm gonna hate it at times.
So this is why you're not a Lions fan, right? Because you left.
I was
not that you've never been a Lions fan. You left. That's what you do, Kyle. You leave.
I was always a Cowboys fan first. When I was younger, I did pull for the Lions when I was real little. And like I told the story a few weeks ago, I had a Lions baseball hat, and I went to Cedar Point, and I lost it, and I knew after I lost that hat, never cheer for them again. They'll only let you down, and it's true. They'd only let you down.
And you've never owned a Ford vehicle since.
That's not entirely true.
Wait a second. So you support the family, but don't even cheer for the players.
Actually, you know what? I have never owned a Ford. Come to think of it, my wife owned a Mercury Sable, which is a Ford. I have a Ford parked in my driveway, but it belongs to my little sister, not to me.
And as soon as you guys got married, you sold it.
Ford. It actually died. Not long after we got married.
It died.
And it got replaced with my grandma's G6. So, yes.
Nice tangent. Anyways.
Panthers.
We won, unfortunately.
Oh, settle down, Christian. Settle down.
Yeah, no thanks to DJ Moore.
I can as much as I was happy with the Cowboys winning, I can agree with that sentiment because it only helps keep your coach that we want gone there longer. So yeah, I mean, I can agree.
I really hope Arizona wins this week.
He's going to be cheering against his team the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, if like the season completely turns around and we go above 500, that's like when we get to that point, then like I can maybe switch around. But until then, I just don't want Roll succeeding because I don't think he's capable of it. So, I mean, we're not going to 0-17. Like, let's be real. So we're going to have to win a couple games here and there. I actually kind of thought that this was going to be a game that we would win. So it lined up with what I was thinking. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't have too many other thoughts. I guess I'm glad we won, but
yeah,
I'm happy with winning up until the point of it helping rule, and then I'm not happy with it. So
I understand completely.
The way they won wasn't the way of rule, though, right? It wasn't this big offensive performance from this offensive coach, and the offense looked great and fixed, right? It wasn't the offense wasn't the reason they won, right? It was all the defense. So. Yeah. So what's the defensive coordinator, Snow, right? Is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Phil Snow.
Yeah, give Phil Snow all the credit for the win at this point.
Y'all actually have good. Y'all have good defensive personnel too.
Yeah, for sure. But it's a matter of who is David Tepper giving the credit to. So
let's hope he's a smart enough football fan to see that this was a Phil Snow.
He's like, I don't trust that.
All right, Tommy P and Jeffers. Let's hold off. You're gonna get your time. Let's hold off on your Jets.
That's all right.
Let's go back to AFC here. So AFC West, are they as good as we thought? Yes or no? And what's up with the Chargers?
Yeah, it's an O. I think it's an O. I mean, Denver won again, which I predicted, but not how I wanted it, right? They didn't look great still again. Hackett still has his issues. He's already hired help for game management, 3 weeks into the season, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I guess it's a good thing, but also it's a panic move. The Chargers are a total mess. I mean, on offense, on injury-wise, the Chargers always charger, right? We always know there's going to be the injury bug, and the coaching staff is going to be the coaching staff. And then I'm not worried about the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs, they'll probably be on top, right? They'll figure their way out and fix their issues. And then the Raiders 0-3. It's Josh McDaniels 1-10 in his last 11 coaching games. So there's a lot of issues there now with the AFC West where we thought this could have been the best division, and maybe talent-wise they were if everybody's healthy, but they're not. And the coaching's been an issue, and this division might be a mess.
I still think the Chargers pull it out, win that division, though.
Win the division?
Did you see all the injuries this week? Rashawn Slater out for the year, the best offensive line.
And Mike Williams still not.
Make the playoffs, yes. Win the division, no.
I think they're going to. They're too injured. They're too injured.
Do you really think
Joey Bosa's got a serious groin injury. He's going to be out for weeks. 2 offensive linemen went out. Rashawn Slater out for the year. Guyton just tore his ACL. That's wide receiver depth. Keenan Allen's been banged up. Austin Eckler doesn't look the same. Herbert has a rib. He's got rib injuries. He didn't look the same last week.
I didn't realize Herbert was hurt.
And it's still the same team doctor who's in a lawsuit with Tyrod Taylor. It's still the same team doctor who's in the lawsuit. I mean,
okay. I did not realize that. I missed that news that Herbert was hurt. I knew other offensive injuries, and
he's got the
Keenan Allen not being there, Mike Williams,
I'm with Christian. I think make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yes. Win the division. No. I think the biggest shock out of all of this, I'm not as shocked that Russell Wilson is as unproductive as he is. So I feel like it's usually the second half of the year where he gets this unproductive.
He fades. He's been fader. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the Raiders just not being able to get a win. Yeah. I mean, Derek Carr and Devontae Adams look fine.
Yep.
That is all.
Carr's gotten me a lot of fantasy points. He's done well as far as production-wise goes.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, Darren Waller looks like he's just got a target on his back. Like everybody's just trying to remove his head anytime a ball gets thrown at him.
And he was kind of the reason they lost too, because
the drop in the end zone.
Yeah, the drop in the end zone for a pick. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, so obviously AFC West is down. Don't know where that's going to go. Who knows? Offense around the league in general, though, has you know what it is. You know what it is. As Tom Brady offense declines, everybody else
don't give him credit. Don't give him credit, Kyle.
I blame him.
No, don't. No, that's giving him credit. That's saying the NFL's offense was good. Yeah.
What is it? What's causing?
We feel like. Do defenses are finally starting to. I just feel like the talent level on the pass rush is there. Like teams are getting pressured more, quarterbacks are getting pressured more, making more mistakes. DBs are better now too. I mean, I just feel like it seems as if they finally caught up, and it's good. I think it's good for football. I know a lot of people love to see offense, but I think if we're sitting around in the mid-20s range, I mean, that's still solid offense, but not blowout, shootout offense.
I think the defensive coaching this year is just stellar.
Yeah.
I mean, across the board, like it's tough to find, like even teams that are not doing well, like they still have solid defensive performances who like are typically well coached. There's a handful of teams that certainly don't fall within that group. But for the most part, I think the defensive coaching exceeds that of the offensive coaching this year. And a lot of it, I think some of these teams, it's these offensive minds are so young stepping into that role. I know I don't need to talk to the Jets fans about that. Or there's almost a misalignment or too many cooks in the kitchen. Like the head coach is also an offensive guy, but he's got an offensive coordinator calling the plays. I'm like, how are you guys preparing? Like, is it because you look confused? Is it you don't know who to listen to?
I think it's an experience issue right now in the offense, right? I think, like you said, the coaches are so young and inexperienced because they have these connections, right? Oh, this guy knew this guy. He's part of this system, and he was the assistant quarterback coach for 1 year, and now he's an offensive coordinator calling plays, which he's never done before. I think that's an issue. And like you said, I think there's so much experience where I think the defensive guys who have made it through this offensive era, who have kind of risen to the top, they've had that experience. They've gotten through this offensive era. The NFL's cyclical. So I think the coaching, I think that is probably a big deal. The schemes, they figured out these offensive schemes, the Sean McVay, Shanahan style, RPO, motion offense style where most teams have adopted. Defenses have been able to adjust and kind of scheme better for that.
And there's always like you said, it's cyclical. There's always positions that every so often they'll change. Just even the physical makeup of people who are successful in that role, it changes. And here over the last couple of years, defensive ends, even interior defensive linemen, like they are just much more athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even about like size and mass and being able to fill up whatever gap that they're assigned to. But you got guys like TJ Watt, who are not the biggest guy on the field, but they are faster, still strong, super balanced, can play low to the ground, who are effective at disrupting the pass and the run.
It's more positionless.
So I think defense, like the defensive line as a whole, being more athletic, being more dynamic, like defensive coordinators who have been there for a while, unlike their offensive coordinator opposition, they're having a field day with the talent that they get to play with now. That's completely new. And now offensive coordinators have to figure out, how do I deal with that? Because typically like super athletic, quick, like that's not what comes to mind for defensive line, especially interior defensive linemen. Obviously Aaron Donald changed that, but other guys are like, even some of these longer term defensive linemen, like they're changing the way that they play. I don't know. It's cool to see how effective defensive lines are right now. But like you said, Thomas, I mean, I think defensive line play has been the largest contributor to so many unders hitting because nobody can run the ball right now. I mean, the Browns, but that's like the only team that can run right now.
And like the Bears, it's odd. That's the only offense. I think there is an offensive line issue too. I think it's not just defense. I think you look across the offensive line issues throughout the NFL, that has been an issue injury-wise, continuity. There was so much change and turnover between these teams on offensive line. You look at the teams that are having success, especially on offense, the Eagles, really good offensive line. You look at the Jaguars, who have been able to run the ball pretty good and protect Trevor Lawrence finally. So the emergence of these quarterbacks, mainly because they have a stronger offensive line. The Lions have been able to be productive on offense with limited talent because of that offensive line. I think that's probably part of it too.
I also feel like there's a lot more speed at the linebacker position, and I think that has a lot to do with it too. They can get sideline to sideline, and they
close those gaps, man.
Yeah, they do a great job as well of rushing the passer as well. I think that plays a large part in it.
Well, you already started talking about it. Talk about your Jets. You mentioned. Talk about your Jets, and we know where we're going with the conversation. Talk about your Jets.
I want to mirror last week's episode with this week, because last week it was the Jets. Now it's the Jets.
Well, no. It's not the Jets just yet. We'll be quick as far as the Jets, because I don't want to get too much into them. I'm not totally down. It was a bad loss. There could have been a lot of things that went right. It wasn't as bad as it could have been, or how it kind of ended up looking. The defense after the beginning first quarter really tightened up, and on first and second down, this is a top 10 defense by the numbers. They have way too many breakdowns on third down, and that has to go, Jared, right into their safety play. Whitehead and Joyner having way too many errors, missed tackles on the second tier players like Tyler Boyd and things like that. I think it comes down to communication and coaching, and which was weird. I don't know if you saw this, Jared, that Reed. I think it was Reed kind of saying, lack of communication has led to too many errors. We have a good team. We stop them on first and second down. Like, they're really good on the run. Like, this is one of the best top 5 in the numbers for against the run. But and then it was weird that Salah kind of agreed with Reed that, it's a given that a team will have some communication issues and 2 to 3 breakdowns like that. Like, no, I don't want to hear the coach say that. That's a coaching issue. If you're expecting your team to have breakdowns and communication issues, that's a coaching that you can't be okay with that. That's a coaching issue, which also leads to him saying, maybe we should dial back the complexity of the defense, but they don't look that comfortable with it. You had the whole offseason to know if your guys would be comfortable with your defensive scheme, right? You were 32nd in the league in defense last year. You're a defensive coach. You had the whole offseason. Now you're saying maybe the team's not ready. We need to dial it back and simplify. I don't know. It seems a coaching issue to me.
Well, and the safety play has just been so glaringly bad, because it really feels like everywhere else has been pretty darn good.
They have a top 10 cornerback room. I mean, Reed and Gardner are probably top 15 quarterbacks per PFF ratings combined. It's amazing.
And we've done a great job of filling holes too, with pass rush as well as linebacker play, because we did get Quan Alexander. I think he's been a big reason why our run defense has been a lot better this year, is because of bringing him into the linebacker room. But to your point, I mean, I just feel like too many breakdowns on the back end, and that comes down to either communication or poor scheming. But it's coaching. Yeah, it's some of it's inexcusable. Like coaching. The Tyler Boyd play where he just broke loose from Whitehead.
Third down.
Exactly. It's like, okay, you give up 12, 13 yards, but don't give up 40 more by missing a tackle. It's like, good grief.
Here's the thing, right? Two things as far as defense. Albright needs to go. It's time to, I think at this point, if this defense continues to struggle, he needs to be the sacrificial lamb. He's gone. He's shown no improvements or any additives to this defense. You have Vic Fangio, who Salah worked with in the past, sitting out there. We know this guy's an amazing defensive coach. Obviously, he didn't work out in Denver as a head coach, but look at all those Chicago teams in the past with him at the helm. Bring in Vic Fangio to fix his defense. Salah, take your hands off. And then just to wrap it up, Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's back. I mean, looking at the film, Flacco played awful. Awful. The stats showed that he was awful, missed so many open players. Zach Wilson will be able to roll out. He'll be able to use his legs a little bit more and find these open players. Hopefully. He can't. I don't think he can be worse. I mean, I don't think he can be worse than Flacco.
What's interesting is that you of course see that Flacco, I think he's like top 6 for passing yards, but then you look at his QBR and he's bottom of the league. I think he's like
number
bottom
1 in
5
passing attempts. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like you said, I feel like the hope is Zach comes in and he makes a lot more happen for the offense, which, I mean, the offense, even with Flacco's poor play, has looked decent at times. You know, we've been able to move the ball. It's a matter of actually getting the ball in the end zone, and that's been our problem. So
do you think that Garrett Wilson remains as productive as he has been the last couple of weeks when Wilson comes in?
Yeah, he's so open. It'd be I mean, that would probably give us our answer if he can't get the ball to Wilson. If the Wilson connection isn't still strong, then maybe that's your answer with Zach Wilson. And he is worse than Flacco, but I would be surprised. I mean, Garrett Wilson is top tier in separation, in route running right now. He's just open all the time, always.
I fully agree. He's a true number one. At least the sample size we have certainly gives you that vibe that he's going to be a number one receiver.
Okay, so you both lost on Sunday, both you and the Lions. This sparked a little bit of a debate and a conversation that we were having within our text group between, far be it from me to defend the Lions and to give the Lions credit. At this point in time, who would you rather have, Matt Campbell or
Dan Campbell?
Dan Campbell.
Sorry, I do that again. Dan Campbell or Robert
What's
Selah?
option C?
No. There's no option.
No, there's no option C.
It's
retire.
These are both in year 2. These are both teams that are 1 and 2.
Do I get their whole coaching staff, or am I just getting that head coach?
You're getting that head coach.
I mean, you're asking this on a hypothetical if both these guys are very unproven still. I mean, they've coached not even 20 games, right?
And granted, not a Jets fan, I would pick Dan Campbell.
But why?
So Robert Selah has had effective defense out there in San Francisco. I think he is a very capable defensive mind to be able to come in and run that effectively with the right personnel. Dan Campbell, when he was in Miami after the coaching churn down there, it's hard to get an entire locker room to be able to buy in to something new being built. And I think in the short amount of time that Dan Campbell has been in Detroit, he has gotten buy-in from the whole locker room on something being built. He does not have superstars, and he is still playing competitive games, hyping his guys up. I would prefer Dan Campbell because I think the players collectively have more confidence in their coach than, again, not being a fan, than I see the players having in their coach with Selah.
Yeah, I think go ahead, Christian.
I'll keep it quick. Currently, I would take Campbell. I think Campbell has a higher floor but a lower ceiling, just in terms of overall coaching ability. I think Selah has a lot of potential that has not necessarily been tapped into yet. So I think I would say in this moment, Campbell, if you're talking about for the next 10 years of your franchise, might be a different story, but in this moment, I would take Campbell.
That's fair.
That's a great point, Christian. I think I would agree fully with that. I think right this second, I would take Campbell, but I do fully agree that Selah has a lot of potential, and it's just going to take time for him to develop. But how long are we going to be willing to wait on that is the question, because we have a good amount of talent right now. So,
and is that potential ever reached? I mean, you don't know. So
right.
I think that's a good point.
Dan Campbell is not running the defense. Dan Campbell is not running the offense. Dan Campbell is making the determinations what they're going to do in situations. How many times this season already has Dan Campbell's coaching decisions cost the Lions the ability to win the game?
At least they're in the game.
You've been in the game.
I had that one game, the Cleveland game.
And you won another one?
Close.
Right. The Cleveland.
That was the only game we won. I mean, we're 1-2.
The Ravens, I mean, that was like we should have been in the game in the fourth quarter. But
here's the thing.
And the Lions
the
have been
issues
in
with
every
the Jets. Yeah, the issues with the Jets, the glaring issues to me have been more coaching The issues with the Lions have been a talent.
I disagree.
No, I think I guess you can point.
I disagree.
You can point to a few things that I guess technically that they cost the game because of a couple of coaching errors at the end of the game. But to be able to get that much, to even get to that point, that was coaching alone for Dan Campbell and his staff. I don't like the guy's a little bit of a weirdo, and I don't think either of these guys might pan out long term. I don't. So far from what we've seen, he's a little off, a little strange. I think it could probably wear off, kind of like a hardball where they buy in early on, but it kind of wears off after a couple of years. That's kind of the vibe I get from Campbell, but his team buys in and plays hard as of now. And I think it's a roster deficiency with that is why they're not winning as of now. I think the Jets is more of it's more of coaching.
I strongly disagree with that, though. For the simple fact that the offense has put up as many points as they have, they're number 2 in the league right now. They have more points than the Buffalo Bills.
With Jared Goff.
Goff has looked good.
Kyle has.
I hated on Goff, but Goff has looked very good this year.
Is Sean McVay a better coach than Dan Campbell?
Yes.
Why could Sean McVay not do better with Jared Goff? He went to a Super Bowl. That was not on Goff's shoulders for how they got there. And he really did not have a difficult time being quarterback that year. He has had a tougher time in Detroit up to this point, a season and a few games, and has looked like a much better player. So if Sean is a better coach, how is Dan getting more out of Jared Goff, who we can all collectively say is bottom 50%?
Do you think 2 years ago, before Stafford was there, he had the offensive line that he has right now in Detroit? I think Stafford had this offensive line in Detroit. Stafford would be lighting it up and killing it.
I think he had a fantastic line, and
I don't think as good as this line.
Early on,
there has never been this good of an offensive line in Detroit in my entire life. This is the best offensive line that Detroit has had, bar none.
Regardless,
showing a difference.
Goff has had great lines, so that's moot.
And a lot of offensive line, it comes down to coaching. I mean, look at the Patriots. It comes down to scheme and coaching. A lot of the offensive line, you get some talent in there, and you get some continuity. It's all about luck, about staying healthy, and then coaching. Because the Jets have a very talented offensive line, and they're not looking like it right now because of the coaching and the health.
I don't think the Jets' offensive line is anywhere close to
how many first-round picks?
They
have first-round picks on the team. I mean, Laken Tomlinson was a Pro Bowler with San Francisco last year. He looks lost this year. George Fant was great last year. Now he's hurt, but before that, he looked lost again this year. Elijah Vera Tucker is a first-round pick. He's looked actually pretty good. He's the highlight of the team. But
Max Mitchell's looked good too so far for his sample size.
It's I think a lot of it has come down to coaching and scheme. Why the Jets haven't been successful on the offensive line, because they have the talent. Talent-wise, it's a top 15 offensive line unit, but they're not playing like it just yet. I think it'll improve. One thing I think with coaching, I think early on you have to look at the scenario, the situation, right? Dan Campbell going into the Lions, zero pressure. Right, they don't have their quarterback, so there's no pressure as far as you have to win now and prove it with this quarterback. Right, they've bought themselves some time.
But why should that pressure be on the Jets and not on the Lions?
What do you mean? Why it's New York, dude? But it's New York.
Take that completely out of it, though.
You haven't made the playoffs in over 10 years in New York City. This guy comes in as the coaching, the coaching savior, the first guy since Rex Ryan that can get this team over the hump. There's a difference between New York media and you watch the Jeter doc. The New York media, you got 40 guys hovering over you. Detroit, you probably have 4. The media pressure in New York is like no other. I'm telling you, this guy has to go on radio shows. I listen to all the radio shows in New York.
Do you think expectations really by people, even in the New York media and across the board, have been higher on the Jets than they have been on the Lions coming in right now? No.
It's New York. Yes.
You're the Jets, not the Giants. I'm sorry.
It's actually pretty. I'm not going to lie. This is not a Knicks Nets scenario. The Jets have a lot of fans. It's like a 45-55 split with the Giants. I'm being honest. The Jets fans are very passionate. They're negative, but they're passionate.
Both teams got 7 wins this year. The Lions would be okay, cool. Yeah, we got 7 wins. Thank God. The Jets would be not good enough. We're better than that. We need more than that. We cannot be sub 500.
Hot seat.
Yeah, especially you look at division. Like the Jets have a division where they can be more successful than the division that the Lions are in. Now, we see weaknesses in some of those teams that the Lions are around. Is that long-term for the rest of the season? Maybe. But to me, absolutely, the expectations are higher from the media, from the fans, from people who aren't even fans, but they happen to live near that team for the Jets than the Lions.
I mean, being a loser that much in a smaller market in Detroit, it's almost like, yeah, like you said, Peyton, give us 7 wins. We're kind of happy with that, especially with
that. I can tell you that is not how they feel. That is not what the Detroit. No fans are happy with 7 wins. They want more. They've been starved for so long. They want success. I will give you.
It's not that
finished. I will give you that. Yes, New York is going to have a higher pressure standpoint from a national spotlight because it is New York. I'll agree to that. I think year 2, though, when you're putting pressure on both coaches, I think it's asinine to say that it is that much more expectations higher on the New York Jets in year 2 than what it is on Dan Campbell in year 2. Maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe you're a 4 and Detroit's a 3 when it comes to that. So I don't buy that that's a legitimate reason for it. And the thing, going back to what I was saying on Dan Campbell, I do not think Robert Selah's coaching decisions has cost you any games. The players in Detroit have put them in better positions to be able to win games, and Dan Campbell has twice made decisions now that have hurt it.
Yeah, but
right now they're talking about again. Now they're talking about bringing in a game manager into Detroit as well too. So,
but that's a common issue with young coaches, that the game management part usually lags behind. That has to come out later on. That's a common issue. Most young first-time coaches struggle with game management.
So you're bringing in a game manager to manage him during the game. He's not running the defense and he's not running the offense. He's leadership. A cheerleader? Rah-rah? I don't. Long term, I don't want that. I wouldn't want that over what I think Selah can give you in development and getting the most out of you down the stretch.
He has to show that. He has to show that.
And it's still unproven. 5 weeks from now, I could be saying a completely separate thing. I just think at this point in time, if I'm choosing based on what we've seen so far, I think Robert Selah is the better choice to keep moving forward than Dan Campbell. And the conversation we were going to have on this, we want to get into, you guys disagree with me. The Lions are a more talented team than your Jets are. They are.
They're not. They're not.
They will. They will have more by the season. The Lions will have more Pro Bowl votes than the Jets will.
And that might be because of Dan Campbell.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with potential talent, though.
Yeah.
The Jets have the most first-round picks on their team. They have the first-round picks.
I don't care what your picks are. Your picks doesn't. If they don't produce anything, then it's not talent.
Potential. A lot of these young guys. Okay, you want to break down talent?
I'll give you your first one.
Let's go. Wide receiver core.
Wide receiver core.
Yeah. Let Madden decide this.
The wide receiver
current wide receiver core
is the Jets.
Which that's how you get. A lot of that's how you get points on the board. Is your wide receivers. So that's how you actually put points up. And the Lions have put up way more points than we have. And they're weaker in that area. What does that tell you?
What is the yardage difference between the Jets and the
We're not going by production at this point. We're going by talent. The Jets have the more talented wide receiver room. Amon-Ra St. Brown is amazing. He's a great talent. But overall wide receiver groups,
I would agree with that right now. I'll say now. I gave you a hard time for the draft thing. I will say, give Williams in 2 weeks. This conversation may change to where it is.
He's coming off the ACL on a short.
I'd be surprised if he gives you strong production. So many different things. There's been plenty of players that have come out of college after an ACL tear and been lighting it up. I think maybe he'll be just fine.
Maybe year 2.
I think he'll be just fine. So a few weeks, maybe having a different discussion at that point in time. Okay, running back.
I think it's a wash.
DeAndre Swift is.
He's hurt. He's hurt right now, and he's always been hurt. And he's a very effective pass receiving running back, but his running production has actually been subpar. I mean, he has been slightly ineffective.
8.6 yards per rush.
So we talk. Okay, you can give averages like that when someone only plays one game or whatever.
And he had what?
Sure, they might have.
How many carries?
So, like, we talked about when we were talking about fantasy drafts and everything, I told you all I stay away from DeAndre Swift because he, to me, is like a McCaffrey, is like a Cook. Like, he hasn't shown me that he can even make it through a season in recent years to be able to remain productive for my roster. And here we are again with the same thing. So sure, maybe in a 1-game stretch, 100% healthy, DeAndre Swift wins that battle, but he's not healthy. I still think that you look at Jamal and he gives a little bit more productivity there. But if I'm looking at potential talent, like what we had started this off with, I got to give that to the Jets right now, because we've seen the ceiling that Jamal Williams has. Up to this point, he's been given opportunities on great teams with fantastic, offensive schemes, offensive lines, and he is still not that guy who is going to be a franchise starter.
What's Jamal Williams done this year?
He played well coming in this last week after DeAndre.
You're going on a 3-game sample size.
Yeah.
You have to look at the opponents, the run defense. You have to look at opportunity, offensive line. There's a lot of things that go into that, but talent-wise, I think it's a wash. I'll give it a wash.
I don't.
2 very good running backs on both sides. It's a wash. Breece Hall is a very talented running back. I think as far as prospects coming out of college,
Breece Hall and Jamal Williams are both very talented running backs. DeAndre Swift versus Michael Carter.
Michael Carter is actually pretty. I mean, I think he's talented as well. But
as DeAndre Swift.
All right, Breece Hall and Jamal Williams are not a wash, though. That's the problem. You're going a 28-year-old veteran is a wash as a rookie that's one of the highest rated rookies coming out of college in the last 5 years.
You're saying it's a wash. I'm claiming the rushing is better, more talented at Detroit. And go to the next part then. Offensive line. Offensive line is more talented at Detroit. Their production
it is, but it's not a drastic issue. It's not a drastic talent deficiency. I mean, the Lions are a more talented offensive line. Penei Sewell's been amazing, but it's not like they're the best offensive line and the Jets are 30th ranked. It's talent-wise, the gap is close.
Any other thoughts on offensive line?
Again, if we're doing talent, I would give the edge to Detroit, but it's not a huge gap. It's tough because you got so many guys that have been built through the draft for the Jets that we just haven't seen. So it's kind of it's another, like, if we're just looking at talent, that's one conversation. If we're looking at productivity, that's another conversation. If we're looking at productivity, I give more of an edge to the Lions. But the question was around talent. So I say Lions with a slight edge.
Who has more to work with currently? Jets or Lions? That's on talent. That's where
the
Lions, but also the Jets have 3 starting tackles on IR, which is also an issue.
Okay, well,
so there you go. But
then again, if you have people on injury and the Lions are more healthy and they have the more talent ready to go, again, that bodes well to be able to fit into Dan Campbell's favor.
Productivity versus talent.
No. But you're saying that there's talent that's not on the field. So far, they have not had the talent on the field. The Lions have. Therefore, that fits into this argument of Dan Campbell having more available to have
a few weeks. So there, you want to knock that? I mean,
I mean,
okay, there you go.
That's moving forward. That's not what we've talked up to this point.
Well, we'll go to quarterback. Given a choice of the 32 NFL teams, given talent. This is a talent.
Once you have Garrett Wilson again,
all 30 teams. No, 32 teams. Zach Wilson's back this week. More teams would select Zach Wilson to start with as talent.
Again, this is what I'm talking about. What production has been making a decision based on what you've seen so far up to this point.
We're talking about talent. This is a talent debate.
That is what I'm saying. The talent that the Lions have had has been deeper than what the Jets have had.
They have less talent. They have less talent moving forward on this team overall than the Jets do.
It's not our conversation. Moving forward is about what's been up to this point in time and what you're choosing.
You're taking a 3-game sample size then.
So all right. Let me cut in for a second because Jared's got to go soon.
Yeah. We need to get his picks.
I will say, to wrap it up, because I am leaning Jared and Thomas's side, we haven't even gotten to defense, and defensive talent is friggin' loaded for the Jets versus the Lions.
Jeff Okudah.
We need to
Jeff
move
Okudah,
on.
3 weeks. Devontae Smith, 0 receptions, 0 yards.
We need to move on to NFL picks so that we're respectful of Jared's time to prep for a hurricane and save his own life.
No. The bottom line is Kyle sounds like a Lions fan. I've never seen him this passionate.
Oh, he's a huge Lions fan. We all know that.
The most passionate he's been on an NFL topic.
Our viewers are going to be like, is this going to be a Jets and Lions podcast? Like, goodness gracious.
Also, let's just let the Madden rating show that the Jets are 79 and the Lions are 78.
Pretty darn close.
Close, yes, correct. Yeah. That's not your argument.
No, you're right. my argument, it comes down to the end. If I'm going to choose Dan Campbell or Robert Selah, based on what I've seen so far moving forward, I'm choosing Robert Selah.
Sounds good. It's 1 against 4.
We got some picks. We got some good games this week.
These picks.
Who invited you, Christian?
Do you have the updated records, Kyle, on NFL?
Yes, I do. So NFL records.
Christian's always saucy. I love it.
So me and Christian are both tied for first place right now at 10-5. Jared, you are 9-6. Peyton, you are 8-7, and Thomas, you paid a little bit of catch up. You are 7-8. So three wins separating across the board last week. Wasn't great for any of us.
I was 4-1. I think,
and oh yeah, you're right. You're 4-1. You're right. Jared did really well. He was 4-1. Thomas, you and I were 3-2, and then Peyton and Christian, you were 2-3. All right, that first game, we have Rams at 49ers.
Isn't that the last game? Isn't that Monday night?
It's last game in the schedule, first game on our picks.
On our picks, yeah.
For sure.
You said Rams 49ers?
Yeah. Man. Rams. Not because I'm super confident in that, but I don't know what San Francisco is. Yeah, give me the Rams. Jared?
I'll go the Rams as well. It just seems like the logical pick.
I'll go Rams. Trent Williams being injured. It's not going to spell good news for Jimmy G.
Peyton?
That was Peyton.
Sorry. Nah.
Double down, Rams.
Ooh. There we go. No, you're right. I think Trent Williams is a big issue there. Jimmy G looked very bad. That offense looked very stagnant. But doesn't Kyle Shanahan own McVay? Like, isn't there? I'd have to look that up, but I think he kind of owns McVay. This is a home game for San Francisco.
Not in the NFC Championship game.
That's like, I think that was his first win. I think that was McVay's first win. It was. Yeah, I don't know the relationship there. I think Kyle wants that one back. I think for somehow they pull this one through and win this one. I think maybe only because it's at home. Debo might go off for a couple of long runs here or something.
So you're taking the Rams?
No. San Fran.
You're taking San Fran.
Yeah. San Fran.
Okay. Christian.
Yeah, 49ers. Buy low, sell high, honestly. And why would Vegas put the Rams at +3 with Trent Williams out if the Rams were going to win? 49ers.
Jared.
Probably looking at the Rams having a weak defense this year.
Jared, did you pick?
Yeah, I did. I said Rams.
Yes, okay. Making sure I had that right. Okay. Next, Buffalo taking on Baltimore. That's good game, Christian.
Yeah, it's a sneaky good game. I honestly didn't do much prep looking at this game yet.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, again, going on the same logic, I'll go Baltimore.
Thomas.
Give me Buffalo. I don't see Buffalo losing 2 games in a row this year. They're not playing in 90-degree weather this time. I think the heat really affected them in Miami. You look at the stats, there's no way you would think they'd lose 90 plays versus 39 for Miami on offense. Yeah, give me Buffalo on a bounce back.
Peyton?
Buffalo on the bounce back.
Jared?
I think Buffalo stops Lamar Jackson, who is basically the Ravens' offense. So I'll say Buffalo.
Give me the Bills. I definitely think the Heat played a factor into that. Season goes on, that won't be the case. Jacksonville taking on the Eagles. Man, Jacksonville's looked surprisingly pretty darn good this year, and so has Philly.
Super Bowl matchup?
No.
That's
Good gracious.
disgusting.
Don't even say that. The last thing I want to see is Eagles versus the most insufferable fan base versus the most sufferable fan base.
Is this a Doug Peterson revenge game?
Ooh.
Oh, man. I this is probably just because I want it this way, but give me the Jags. Jared?
Honestly, I'm going to say the Jaguars as well. This is actually, I would say, a first test for both teams.
They played the Chargers last week.
Yeah, but the I don't know.
They were beaten up.
They were beaten up. I don't put too much stock into it.
Peyton?
I'm gonna go. Thomas,
he needs the Eagles to win.
I was gonna say you had really good picks for this one, or really good matchups. I'm gonna go with the Eagles. I think that I give more credence to the Eagles' offense. I'm not sold on Trevor Lawrence. I think he's been doing well, but yeah, I'm not sold on him continuing the win streak.
Yeah, I think I'll go with the Eagles. I'll go Eagles with you there. I think no, Trevor Lawrence has looked really good, but I want to see him kind of tested. Maybe kind of have a comeback win. I think he's been able to just start off well and kind of roll with it. But the Eagles have come out so hot. I think they'll come out ahead of this game. And I don't know if Trevor Lawrence at this point can be able to make that comeback just yet. Both these quarterbacks have made tremendous leaps this year. It's amazing to watch, but give me the Eagles. They're the more well-rounded team.
All right. And Christian?
Yeah, I think Jags cover, but I'm going to go Eagles.
The spread is high, right? It's like 7.
6.5, yeah.
6.5. Yeah, that's high.
So I think Doug Peterson is what Trevor Lawrence needed to take that next step. Also, maybe anything but Urban Meyer, but yeah, no, I think they could win the division, but I'm taking Eagles in this one.
It's not crazy to say that. It's really not. Right now, they're
Peyton too much.
Right now, they're both these teams.
I thought you were saying
7.
Eagles to say that, and that pains me. Just like I'm sure the Jags win in the AFC.
Oh, either one of them could win their division. Honestly,
I hate the Eagles.
Philly has the easiest schedule remaining. They've had most of their hard games.
They're losing next week. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Real quick, when's the last time Jalen Hurts and Trevor Lawrence played each other?
Probably the national championship game.
Rematch in the national championship game.
I'm pretty sure that's the one that Trevor went off.
Yeah, it is. Hopefully that happens again. All right. Miami taking on Cincinnati.
Thursday night.
Man, I want Cincinnati to win this one. And we had a text group. We said who ends up winning the AFC North. And I said Cincinnati after you guys' statements, and then looking a little bit more. Yeah, that's not. Sadly, I don't think Burrow is going to be able to get it done. I think Miami's doing pretty darn good. I'm gonna roll with the Dolphins again. Jared.
I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati whiteout uniforms this Thursday. Those things are fresh, man. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Cincinnati. I like them to continue what they did against us into the game with Miami. I think Miami's coming off a big high, beating the Bills, and I think that's gonna catch up to them this game.
All right, Peyton.
I'm selecting one matchup here: Tyreek Hill or Eli Apple. I'm going with Tyreek Hill. Give me the Dolphins.
Fair.
I like it. Thomas.
I'll go one matchup here in Joe Burrow versus Tua. I can't even say his last name. Yeah, there you go. No, I think, you know what? The Dolphins should be punished. Automatically lose this game. Putting Tua back in that game. Now he doesn't have a concussion. He's not in concussion protocol. That was a back spasm. Yeah, shut up. That wasn't a back spasm.
Maybe it was.
No, it was. He was wobbly. He was touching his head. He tripped over. That wasn't a back spasm. His head bounced off the turf, and they're saying that he's not in concussion protocol. They deserve to lose. Give me Cincy.
Not once did he reach for his back. I did see a lot of people say like back pain is one of those things where people always reach for it. Just like your stomach, you always like clutch in front. It's like, why was it that he's trying to catch himself and that he's messing with his helmet if it was a back issue?
Christian.
Yeah, if this game was on Sunday, maybe different story, but I just think there's too many question marks with Miami with injuries and just, I mean, that game was an all-out war, honestly, between Buffalo and Miami, and I just think that Cincinnati's going to be fresher in this one, and they're going to pull it out.
All right, and then wrapping up this week, the red-hot Denver Broncos taking on the red-hot Las Vegas Raiders. Christian.
This game disgusts me. I'm sure it disgusts us all. At this point, give me the Raiders to win a game.
That's all. Just win a game.
No.
Thomas.
Yeah, can we pick a tie here? Can I go tie? No. Give me the Raiders. It's just hard to see. I mean, I probably picked them last week because I said they probably don't deserve to be 0-3, but do they deserve to be 0-4 against Denver? Maybe not. So give me the Raiders by default.
Peyton.
I don't want to do this. I'm going with the Broncos.
Ooh.
I'm giving edge to defense. So, two unproductive offenses. I will say the Broncos limp along a little bit better against a mediocre Raiders defense compared to the Raiders going against a very good Broncos defense.
Jared?
I think this is a desperation game for Vegas, and I think they pull this one out. It's a home game too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I think the Raiders are still a much more talented team across the board. And, man, Denver and Russ, not good. Not good at all. I
give it to Javonte Williams in the red zone. Why is he out of the game anytime they get in the red zone?
Mike Boone had like 15 snaps there, 20 snaps. Like Mike Boone played 33% of the time. I didn't get that.
All right, Christian, you're our main better guy. Well, you're one of our main better guys here. Mm-hmm. Let's go to you. Jeffers, you taking off? Do you? I understand you have a hurricane to prepare for. We hope the best for you.
I'll let everyone know if I survive or not.
Is this your first hurricane?
Tune in next week.
First Florida hurricane.
First Florida hurricane.
Yeah, I was around when there was one in Virginia. Yeah, I was there when there was one in Virginia.
I'm guessing
Hurricane Isabel.
I'm guessing they hit a little bit harder down in Florida than they do in Virginia.
Yeah, well, I think actually the Hurricane Isabel, like it made landfall at Virginia. It was weird.
That's the one that went up to New York, right? Hit New York. That was
I think so.
One.
Yeah. It was so colder water at that point.
All right. Do you have any lock picks for us? Bet lock picks?
That's a no.
That's a no. Did not do my research this week.
That's fine. Go be safe.
Yes, be safe. Board up your windows,
guys.
get your sandbags. Stay safe. All right, Christian.
College or NFL?
Whichever one you want to go with first.
Okay, we'll go college first. Oh gosh, honestly the hurricane can impact a lot of games too.
Yes.
So I'm not too sure yet. The one I have, I do have another teaser that I like. So we're gonna first of all go Service Academy under So that's going to be Navy against Air Force, teased to under 43.5. And then a Big Ten under, Wisconsin and Illinois, teased to under 49.5.
Wisconsin, Illinois, under 49.5.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
Lock it in.
All right, Thomas.
NFL lock of the week. Buffalo -3, going on the road in Baltimore, carving up that Baltimore secondary that's still beat up. They're not losing 2 in a row. Lock in Buffalo -3. College, I'll go the over here. I have an over here. Texas, West Virginia. It is high. It is 62. But I like both of these teams to get to 30 for sure. And I think over 62. We're just hoping for some fun. Why not? Texas, West Virginia over 62.
All right. Jared? Or sorry, Peyton. Jared left.
College. We already kind of disagreed on this a little bit, but I'm going money line with Oklahoma State over Baylor. Oklahoma State is the underdog there. I think they go in and play spoiler to what a lot of bettors are thinking.
Yeah, I'm going that same game. I'm not going to take the money line on that one. The over under on that game is 56.5. 2 Big 12 ranked teams. They don't play defense. All they do is play offense out in the Big 12. That's going to be more than 56.5 points. That is my lock for the week. I don't. Anybody else have any for NFL? Want to throw in there any other ones? I don't have any.
I'm going to throw for NFL since I didn't give one yet. I'm going to throw in. I'm going to go the under in Miami, Cincinnati, under 47. Primetime unders.
I like that.
Primetime unders.
Like I said about Miami, I mean, being banged up. So under 47 in that one.
I'm got the Seahawks at Lions under 50. Even if the Lions play well, which I'm sure they will because they're coached very well and they have, have a good guy with Campbell there.
Very talented roster.
I don't see the Seahawks contributing anything to that total point score. So under 50.
I'm gonna pull one here. All right, I'm going between. You know what? Your Colts coming off a hot win last week, taking on the Titans at home. Colts are. You're a 3-point favorite. I'm going to take you to cover that. I'm going to take the Colts to win and cover that spread. That's it. That's my.
I hope you're right because
I'm right too.
3 of our next 4 games are all divisional, so we're already in a bad spot with being 0-1-1 in the division.
We've done this. This is our 4th week now, so we've done it 3 weeks done. I am 1-5 on mine. So,
are you keeping track? Because
mine only because I did them.
Oh, okay. Because I hope you guys took my West Virginia pick last week. That was the Thursday night game. It was right after the show, was it the Thursday night? Yeah, it was. Yeah, because we did do the show on Tuesday. Right after the show on Thursday, it was basically a pick 'em. I think it was West Virginia -2, and they smacked Virginia Tech by like over 20 points. So that was a nice, easy win.
Saturday morning, I'll be texting you and figuring out what to put stuff on there, Thomas. All right.
I got you.
All right.
One bonus one really quickly to wrap up for college. Nice little bonus play. Kansas money line, Kyle? No, I'm kidding.
Absolutely. I already got my money down.
Mississippi State -3 at home against Texas A&M. And
that was almost a pick game, but I didn't make the cut. It was almost a game we were going to pick.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, that one's more of a line thing than anything else. It's a very similar line to a couple weeks ago, Oregon BYU and Washington Michigan State. And look how those turned out. So
I don't want to.
With a team that's not as good or ranked at home but favored. So Mississippi State -3 as the bonus play.
See, my struggle there is I will never bet against Mike Leach. He, for whatever reason, like especially at Washington State, just screwed up so many bets. So I can't bet against Mike Leach.
I agree. Absolutely.
Or for him. Like he will let me down or screw me.
He's
So I should
blacklist.
just say, if
He's
Mike
on the
Leach is
blacklist.
involved, I'm not betting on that game.
That's fair.
And don't go near a furnace around Mike Leach. Texas Tech days right there. That's a long time ago. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Those of you in the path of Hurricane Ian, along with Jared, you are in our thoughts and prayers. Stay safe, and hopefully you get to have power and watch football on Saturday and Sunday. And you're tuning in and listen to this on YouTube.